guys are all set. Take it away.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Ferric Fox. I'm coming at you live from North Dakota, 1 a.m. So I hope you're the late night crowd, or if you're not the late night crowd, maybe you're coming from, I don't know, Australia or something like that. But we got friends all over the place. So we're going to bring you Chained Echoes tonight. It's going to be a co-op run. I'm going to be starting the run. Ferric Fox, I got my buddy here, moonblazewolf.
Hey, I'm going to be doing the second half of the run. And yeah, I get the late shift. Ferric, you can go to bed when you're done, probably, right? If you want to.
Yeah, we got Blaze sitting in the dark right now, so he doesn't get tired during the first hour 45 minutes of this run, and then very happy to have the one, the only, the world record holder in Chained Echoes 80% glitchless, Stronk Chonkler for commentary.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for being here. And speaking of people that are international, it's actually daytime where Strong Chonkler is. So
it is 5:15 in the afternoon. It is perfect timing for me.
That's fantastic. So he's going to be the freshest of all of us. So if we throw anything to him, that's definitely one. So I'm going to be getting started here in a moment. I'll give you a countdown from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. Good luck, Ferric.
Thank you.
Good luck.
This is fun. We've got the actual couch commentary here coming at you. We have. I'm sitting on a literal couch watching my partner run our favorite game right now. So, welcome to Chained Echoes. This is a retro stylized RPG that came out roughly a year ago. It was made by a German developer. It was basically made by one person, Matthias Linda. It's nice and early on a Saturday morning there, so maybe some of the folks are listening from there. But yeah, we really like this game, and it's got a really great speedrun, especially for a RPG speedrun. It is really fast-paced, it's got really good action, and we're excited to show it to you.
So starting off with a little sky armor battle there, that's our mechs, and you will not be seeing them again for quite a while.
But if you want, the next time we do see them, if you want to change the color, we have a bid war going on, and there are 5 color options. I will tell you 3 of them are Easter eggs based on the Evangelion series. So if you're an Evangelion fan, you might be able to figure out what some of the mechs might look like based on the colors.
Everybody loves an Easter egg.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, you're getting so many crits.
Ferric, save the crits for later.
Yeah, last time when I did this run for Question for Glory, like I was just getting all this amazing RNG. I'm like, that's what I need for my PB attempt. I don't need that for the marathon run, so I need to save that stuff for later.
Usually with marathon runs, you get one extreme or the other. There's like no in between, so. But yeah, these are 2 of our main characters. This is Glenn and Killian. They're kind of like sky pirates, I guess is the way I kind of describe them to people. And we're just engaging in some turn-based combat. A couple things that you should sort of maybe make a little note of as you're looking at the the battle system is we're going to be using mostly special attacks in this game, so a lot of interesting special attacks. The game kind of forces you to use a lot of different abilities, at least if you play it casually. And then in the top right corner is your turn order, so you get to see the little portraits of characters or enemies in the turns that they're going to be going in. And I would say the big hook of Chained Echoes is now it's in the top left corner. This is the overdrive meter. Strong, do you want to talk about the overdrive meter? Maybe introduce that to everybody?
Absolutely, I do. So, whenever we speedrun this game, we run this game on what we call easy. So if you play this game casually, and in like a normal mode, the red on the right-hand side of the bar would be extended, which you'll see in the top left here. It's quite a small chunk. Whereas the green is the majority of it. The aim is to get in the green, because all your spells and all your skills cost half as much. The second you're in the red, your spells cost twice as much, and they do, I believe it's 50% less damage. And you also take extra damage. So the idea is to stay in the green as much as possible. In the speedrun, it kind of doesn't become too much of an issue. There are some bosses that have some special abilities that will change the overdrive bar that we'll see probably like an hour into the run. But in the left-hand corner as well, you'll see a small icon, and the icon is attributed to 4 different types of abilities. These are like buffs, debuffs, spells, and like physical attacks. And each one if you use one of the abilities with the same attribute as the icon, it'll actually bring the overdrive bar down, and you'll hear it because it's a small trumpet that plays whenever you do it. And sort of like if it happens to be worthwhile for us, great. If it doesn't, we sort of don't look after it.
Yeah, and I would say that's actually a fairly major portion of the RNG in the run is which abilities will just kind of be yellow in certain battles. Because for the most part, we actually don't want yellow abilities because they might get us back out of the green, and when we're not in the green, we deal less damage. So a lot of times we actually don't want that coming down. So it's an interesting like push and pull. The game is really interesting in that way, and it's a really neat way that the game encourages you as the player to use a lot of different abilities. By the way, that was a really nice skip, Ferric.
Thank you.
Ferric absolutely nailed that skip. That is probably the hardest skip in the game, in my opinion.
Really, mine is the first set of boars that you get right out of Fjordwoods. Trying to dodge that one underneath
That's another
them.
tricky one for sure.
Yeah, it gets you.
Oh, where you
Gets
have to
ya.
hug the log. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the way that encounters work in this game, if you kind of noticed from what we were just talking about, is most of the time you can see enemies on the map. Sometimes they're ambushes, but you'll still have like a zone where they will actually, it'll sort of trigger the fight to begin. So a lot of the encounters in the game we can skip, or we can manipulate in a way that we enter them from a particular angle. And then we get into a formation that allows us to run from the encounters and not have to worry about fighting them. So we really don't want to do... We want to do as few encounters as we have to during the run. So you'll see a lot of times where it looks like we're getting really close to enemies, but we know where the invisible lines are to keep us from actually getting into those fights.
What you also would have noticed there was Ferric using a very particular move with Lena. And they're called ultra moves, and you will see them used throughout the entire run. And that also brings us into the overdrive bar. Every time you use an ultra move, it brings the overdrive bar back down. Same as whenever you get into, say, a special encounter or a boss encounter, your ultra move bar will reset. So you've always got that for a boss fight. But also just casually through fights, the more actions you do, it fills up the ultra move bar. Each character has a very specific ultra move that they'll do. Lena's is like an AoE magic damage. You'll see, you won't see Rob's in the run, but Rob's is like a general like cleansing of all your attributes and that kind of jazz. The main ones you'll see is like fast damage, AoE damage in particular, something that applies debuffs onto the bosses.
Yep. Yeah, there's some pretty powerful ultra moves in the game. They are kind of split into two different categories. There's AoE damage, and then there's single target damage. Certain fights we will want to use the character that has the best single target. Other fights we will want to use the character's ultra that has the best multi-target damage. So a lot of strategy that goes into that. Ferric's already through 2 boss fights. Like I said earlier, this game goes really fast. So
is this where the turtle races are?
Yes, so we need to do the turtle races now.
For a moment.
Yep, so everybody donated for this. Thank you so much. Ferric is going to go up and around the stairs there, and here's our turtles.
Hey.
We did get one last donation for those turtle races. Did you want me to read
Let's hold
that?
off, because the music is the best part of this, and I want to make sure we hear the music.
So what are we going with,
Understood.
guys? Strong, do the honors. First, second, third, or fourth.
It's first every time, baby. Let's go.
Do it.
Turtle number 1.
You guys ready to rock out to the music? Here we go. Got the good medal. Oh, one's falling back. It's good to have that last minute surge, though. It's one.
Number one's got it. We got it. It's easy.
Totally
it's
right.
easy every time. Would you
totally
look at
right.
that?
It's one.
Telling you, it's number 1.
Oh, that's great. The turtle races are so good.
We did some very serious RNG manipulation before the run,
Yes.
which is you start the game, and turtle number 1 wins every time for whatever reason. So.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Oh, I actually didn't know. I just picked number 1.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. Okay. Yeah. Well,
yeah, wow. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I've run the glitched version of this enough to know, like, I've seen a lot of turtle races, so... but yeah, I'm really glad that we were able to showcase this for you tonight, and good job, Ferric, picking the winning turtle.
Congratulations.
Yes.
So
we got a couple
introduced to the
more
best girl
characters. Yep.
We're introduced to Sienna, who is sort of the thief with an interesting
ninja.
backstory that we'll get to.
Yes.
She's like just the perfect character. Going around stealing stuff. She's agile. You'll find that we use her for a good chunk of the start of the run, a little bit in like the end of Act 1, and then she never gets seen again.
Yeah, I have to give Ferric a lot of credit. We've been between the two of us. I know Strunk, you've been really busy with like real life stuff.
Real life, what's that?
Oh gosh, let me tell you. Real life is how you end up running chained echoes at 1 in the no.
It's exactly.
But no, in all seriousness, Ferric in particular has been like a big Sienna champion and been figuring out ways that we can use Sienna more in the early part of the run. Because as you'll kind of see as the run unfolds, we'll kind of hit certain points where the really powerful stuff in the game becomes available to us. And we'll kind of just want to lean into that. But the early part of the game is where there's a lot more discretion and a lot more freedom to maybe figure out some stats. Yep, you got a thin hide, Ferric. Nice get there. So we've been really tinkering around a lot, especially with Act 1, and that's one thing Ferric has really been able to figure out is that Sienna is very, very powerful for a variety of reasons earlier in the run. So doing some skill ups here. The leveling system in this game is based on what are called grimoire shards. Typically, you will get a grimoire shard when you defeat a boss, and then there are zones with different skills. You can spend the grimoire shards on the skills that are in that zone, and then when you learn a certain number of skills, you'll be able to advance to the next zone, unlock some new skills on the board, and also you will typically start getting some skill ups at certain breakpoints as well. There's a little more to it than that, but that's pretty good for now. Also, Ferric, you got a tin ore, so you got the 2 drops that we needed.
Tin ore! Gosh.
We're very excited about this because that means that Ferric is going to be able to cut out an entire shop now because he got both of those drops. So,
what a champion!
Yeah, uncommon drops, you don't typically get them, and there's really only one where they can drop from. So that was very auspicious, I would say.
I do have to ask a very important question: are we getting cleric class?
No cleric. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. That tracks then. Yeah. Because when we used to do that, there's a fight with 5 of the scubamen.
Yeah, you can get play a tin ore from those guys.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, that's sort of the only chance you tend to get it was that fight previously. So it's nice to see that you got it.
Yep. That was the Krachan, by the way, like a kraken, except Chan, because she has very pretty eyelashes. Are we suplexing any trains? Is this Final Fantasy VI? No, but you will see a lot of callbacks to Final Fantasy VI. Kind of like this banquet that Victor's at right now. This is, I would say, for me, pretty reminiscent of the Emperor's Banquet in Final Fantasy VI. Because the way you're supposed to do this is you're supposed to kind of run around and talk to all the guests and stuff. Figure out the answers to those questions. But thankfully for us, they're the same every time, and we know how to answer, so we get that life thread accessory that Ferric just got. And that's a really good accessory. It's going to raise the critical hit rate of whoever's wearing it by 15%. So
that becomes very relevant because 15% is a considerable chunk when you're doing multiple hits, which you'll end up seeing going forward.
Yep, and another thing about the way this game deals with combat is for all of your multi-target attacks, typically every target is its own independent action. So that 15% when you're fighting like 4 different enemies, pretty good chance you're going to get a crit. So Ferric's got a big menu coming up here, so I'm going to kind of let him focus on that. We finally have the whole gang together here. We've got all 6 of our sort of intro characters. And they have sort of been forced together through circumstance, as happens in RPGs. So Ferric is spending a lot of those grimoire shards here to level up characters. We're doing some equipping. We're going to put that life thread on Sienna. And we're going to get our party in a particular order. And also did a little bit of skill swapping. There's actually a pretty good reason for doing a lot of the skill swapping that we do in the run. If you'll notice when the battle menu pops up, whatever skill is in the top left of the battle menu is the one that is the only one that is going to be kind of like one cursor action away from you. So if there's a particular action that you anticipate using first in most fights, you always want to put that in the first spot because it will save you time over the course of the run.
That being said, it's also important to figure out where the slots are next to that one as well. So anything could be, the memory has cursor, so it'll remember exactly where your cursor is when your next turn comes around. So any adjacent skills that you know that you'll use directly afterwards, say if you'll see us, we have like a charge move coming up. Any move directly opposite that makes it another single input for your menuing, which makes combat extremely quick and extremely fluid as well. And also just looks really good.
Yeah. This game does a pretty good job of making us look good at menuing, I have to say.
I was going to say, it's very interesting because we have vastly different, like the general run is exactly the same, but there are very different things depending on like at what point you level up, at what point you get what skills and that kind of stuff. And it's very interesting because besides the community race we have, I have not had much of a chance to really watch how other people have been doing menuing.
Yeah. And I would say Ferric and I have subtle variations in how we do stuff too, but for the most part, we've converged around most things. Ferric, we've been kind of talking for a little bit. Anything from your perspective? That
no, you guys are doing great. Let me just kind of focus on what I'm doing.
Okay, I mean, we're happy to talk about this game all
time of
night.
night, that's really helpful.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure if you guys mentioned the cutscene skipper, so when you see the platypus, we're skipping cutscenes.
Back to my Australian heritage, we respect the platypus every time it's on screen. It will forcibly make you, as you'll see here, the hold to skip button pops up. If you were to hold that, say, through where the platypus is, it means that the immediate frame next means you won't be holding to skip. And when you try to, it'll play the hold to skip finish, and it'll actually tell you, pardon me, that it's skipped, but it won't let you skip the cutscene. And that becomes very important on because this is a JRPG, there are multiple cutscenes in a row, typically quite long ones. So learning when you can and can't skip just sort of became down to respecting the platypus. Whenever it's on screen, you don't hold the skip button.
Yeah, I think that was kind of shorthand that we came up with early on when we realized that, like, you could mess up if you got to, I don't want to call it lazy, but, like, holding the cutscene skip button wasn't just, like, a cure-all for, like, dealing with certain situations.
Yeah, go on.
So you have to, like, strategically skip, and there are actually cutscenes where you can do what we call a quick skip. We had one right at the very beginning. There's a few more. I'll try to call out one when it's coming up, but... just really cool little techie type things. What Ferric had to do here, by the way, is he had to get into that encounter from the backside so that he could run away from it and progress. So that's just another example. There's so much little tech in this game, even though it's a glitchless run. I will say, as someone who prefers glitchless runs in general, this is one of the coolest glitchless runs I've ever seen. There's so much that goes into it, and just the pace is incredible too.
The movement and mobility in this game, especially for a glitchless run, is absurd. It's very cool.
Yeah. Ferric, I know you have a way of describing it that you like to use.
The movement?
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like playing a racing game because the walls and objects are sticky, so if you run into them, you're actually going to lose time. So you want to be as fluid as possible with your movement, and it all goes by very fast, so...
Yep. You got to hug those corners, too.
Oh, listen, like I have almost like down to muscle memory figured out where my joystick needs to go at all times.
It does get that way after a while, for sure. So we're just going to be running around doing some tutorials here for the next minute or two. So, Wolf Shadow, do you have any donations or announcements that you'd like to read for us?
Yes, I actually do have a donation. We do have a $20 donation from Tillerin and Knight. I hope I pronounced that right. It was for Watch the Turtle Races, which we did get to watch the turtle race. Comment was, keep that fresh coffee close by, and good luck to Blaze and Ferric for your run.
Thank you. Till and Knight are two very good local friends of ours, and they might actually be up watching this live in all likelihood, so they're more of the Night Owl types than us. So
same here in my household.
So we're getting introduced to a variety of things in these tutorial segments here. The first one was the blacksmithing system, which we're going to do some weapon upgrades, but we're not going to do a ton more than that. I'm going to put a giant asterisk on that because there's been talk in the community lately that the crystals might actually be very useful, but the crystals are also a little bit of a lottery system, so we're going to have to figure that out. But Ferric and I said we were going to do that after tonight, so...
I think that's
there
very
was
smart.
also the Deals Merchant, which was that sort of large fish character that we talked to. Just basically, when we're running around the world, there are a lot of like... They almost look like baubles on the world map. They're kind of like orange orbs. And if you gather up certain ones of those, you can turn them in for deals. And there's going to be one deal in particular in the... Not this area, but the next area that we're really interested in getting. So we're going to be tracking which collectibles we get once we get to that area. And then the last thing was just the Adventurers Guild. If you've ever played Final Fantasy XII, this game has like a hunt system or a notorious monster system. We really don't do any of that in this run, but it is really cool just how much stuff is in this game like that. It is a very rich, full game. There's a lot of... There's so much stuff that you can do, and the open world, it becomes a pretty open world fairly early on if you're playing this game casually, and you can literally just run around for hours, like doing hunts and looking for buried treasure like Ferric just got, and all sorts of things. So it's such a dynamic game that way.
We were just introduced, as Moon was saying, to Tack the Yak, which is in fact the first hunt that they recommend to us, and I know plays a big part in the glitch run.
Tack is our best friend in the glitch speedrun. Yep.
I have a soft spot for Leaping the Frog, who hopefully we get to see. It's a 1 in 3 chance we'll see them coming up. And for all of my world record runs, I've had Leaping the Frog. So it's clearly a blessing.
Yeah, clearly.
It's clearly. So see if we are blessed by Leaping. But yeah, it's a very like this sort of like trying to spawn them in or trying to figure out how to get them. One like later on in the run in the game, which we won't actually see. You have to like go around a tree a certain number of ways and a certain number of times to find. And then once you've killed that one, you have to immediately walk to another location to find one that spawns only after that one. It's wild to try to figure out.
Yeah, there's just there's so much creative stuff in this game, and you really can do a ton. I've gotten into the all bosses category recently, which is where you fight all these optional super bosses.
It's so much fun.
It is such a cool run. I absolutely love that.
It's such a good run.
So, and that's stuff I
Drunk, the all bosses.
Yeah, I was the first one to run it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yep. So that one is also a good time. I've really been enjoying that recently. And it's got a lot in common with the glitchless run that we're doing tonight. So it's I can practice all bosses and still feel like I'm practicing this run too. So
you'll also see, so those orange orbs are the one that Moon were talking about. They're sort of the collectibles. On the top right hand side, you'll see coming up in a moment is like the what we'll get into, like rewards. So in the top right, maybe not quite.
Yeah.
All right. Of course, we have to do this side first.
So I guess the way I would describe it, because yeah, we're seemingly kind of running around doing a lot of random stuff right here in this first outdoor area. We're actually not. There are specific goals that we are trying to attain, objectives, if you will. And then we're opening some chests to get new gear, new weapons specifically for all of our characters as well. But like Ferric is stopping at these rock walls to open them, for example, just because right there when he opened the third one, he got find 3 out of 3 hidden caves. That actually gets us a crafting item that we're going to need very shortly. And that's why we were opening the caves. There's really no other reason that we would do that. So there's going to be more of that here for this next little bit. But it's been and continues to be a really interesting routing exercise, trying to figure out how to optimally do all of these seemingly random things in this first area.
So as Moon said, we're sort of aiming to get one specific deal. If say we don't get that deal, it's not actually a run ender. You get the main pieces through the reward board, besides one of them. So like it's sort of cool to be like, okay, I know that just through the run we get these things. We know that we always get these rewards. So what can we do as a backup in case we don't get that? And it's very cool to sort of figure out.
Yeah, absolutely. And then like there's a money component to it as well. Like how do I have enough money for all of these? Oh, Santa just got like 4 crits. That was pretty cool.
Killing it.
Yep.
As you'll see coming up, we actually, the rewards board will actually give us more than just the crafting items and money, and also SP to level up our skills. If we get them in what's called a chain, which is just connective ones, we actually get rewards as well. But one of the best tracks in the game is coming up.
Yeah,
I love this song so much.
This is our first shrine fight. These are Ferric's favorite enemies.
Yep, the slurs. You gotta love the slurs.
Yeah, classic.
Ferric is a big slurs fan. So the shrines, we had an item from Sienna's prologue called the Sacred Water. The Sacred Waters allow us to pray at these shrines, and when we win these fights, we will get a class emblem. This one is for the Warrior emblem, and they basically are like accessories. They will give you increased stat, and they will also give you access to new abilities that are unique to that class. So Ferric is going to get a stronger single target attack and a AoE attack on any character now with that Warrior emblem. And he's going to throw that on Glenn right away because Glenn doesn't actually have an AoE at the moment. So now we're just going to fight some random sheep because we need that for the reward board. And then we'll be done with a lot of this like randomness for a while. We can get back to actually doing the quest line in this area. Game also has a pretty good fast travel system, those crystals right there. And when you do a fast travel, they respawn the enemies. So in this case, we can just fast travel back to that spot that we just were at and defeat the sheep again.
Yeah, this fast travel system in this game is really well thought out. Big fan of it.
Yep. And now we have gotten the chain that we need on the reward board by defeating those sheep, so Ferric can actually go and get 2 items there for getting an 8 chain. He got another Sacred Water, which we'll use at the beginning of Act 2. And he also got an extra Grimoire Shard, which, as we were talking about before, that's basically like getting an extra level. And that's a really important level because if you look at the second ability that he learns on all of his characters, there's this huge wall of stat that is going to come up. And we're going to be starting to do some more serious fights here soon. So having some extra stats and an extra ability will make a big difference potentially in the way those fights play out. And we're also going to do another menu here. So lots of menus in this game. RPG speedrunners, we love our menuing. So Ferric's going to do a little bit of shopping, then he's going to do some upgrades, and then we will be getting back to the action. The way everything went, I think we got everything we need. Ferric is going to want to do 2 upgrades on Rob's longbow. He's going to want to do 2 upgrades on Killian's claymore, and 1 or 2 upgrades on Len's glaive. It looks like you got enough for a glaive ++ again, Ferric. Good job.
Yeah, it's that
Nice
boulder.
to see.
I think the boulder has the items for the glaive.
Yeah, speaking of little micro optimizations, Ferric found a rock that's got some crafting items under it in that very first
Oh,
screen.
the Ashen Bone?
Yeah,
I think that's
yeah.
what the glaive is. Yeah.
And ever since he found that, we've been able to consistently get the glaive ++ because that is like the main item for crafting that. So
Yep, absolutely. When I was working on Lena route, it helped a bunch because it's right there. So
yep. So we're just kind of hitting a couple of quest markers now. What we're actually trying to do is we're trying to get through a checkpoint because there was this whole incident at the castle that we were at in the opening part. And we're trying to figure out a way to get through the border to the next area because we're sort of hot on the trail of whoever was behind that attack. So Ferric gets to fight another Slorse.
unfortunately, the last loss we'll ever see.
We'll see them, but we'll be like flying over them in our sky armor.
That is true. Yeah, no, that's fair. Do they get the classic JRPG palette change? When does that happen? When do we see them again?
I feel like I don't remember if there's like different Slorse later on. There are a few of these enemies where we're gonna see like their recolored forms later for sure. So
I am positive there's like a purple one.
I
But
think there
fine.
is too. Yeah.
We'll find it. I'm sure it exists somewhere.
Yes, I believe.
So these are the Becker's boys. These are Becker is the one who sort of gave us a pass, or will try to give us a pass to cross the border, but it turns out that it's actually
so good.
fake. That was a
Holy cow.
good fight.
That's
Well
so
done.
good.
Yeah, one cycle's always really good. And so he sent his boys after us. And we took care of that matter, and now we've discovered that there's another way to get through to the next area. Coming up soon is where we might see leaping. Come on, blessed be this leaping. Yes!
Yep.
Yes!
There he is.
World record is assured. Well done, Ferric. Congratulations.
The great frog
World
himself.
record.
Yeah, I mean, I don't make the rules. I just enforce them. You know.
the one off. I love those.
Good stuff. So we're gonna have some different encounters here. Ferric is gonna be fighting some undead, so we're looking for a specific drop on this first encounter with the 2 zombies as well. So we'll kind of be keeping an eye out for that. There's one particular item that we are looking for. If we don't get it, we'll steal it from a fight coming up. But this is another sort of little thing where, oh, yep, you got it. You got the thick hide. Nice.
Nice. Thanks.
Yep. So that will allow us to
flesh.
use a slightly more optimal party for the rest of the fights, because we won't have to worry about stealing from...
Pilfering.
I'm sorry,
Such a more
pilfering.
polite name than stealing. Sienna would never steal. She only pilfered.
I don't know if I believe you.
Yeah, so these ghost enemies are a little bit of a... they're a little bit of a tricky fight, or just like the mechanics of them are a little bit awkward. At this point in the game. So if you attack them with a physical attack, then they will become impervious to future physical attacks, and you'll have to kill them with magic, and vice versa. So in an ideal world, you'll get a Glenn cross slash plus a magic attack from either Len, it looks like Ferric is opting for, or sometimes you can use Victor and kind of clear them out. But the game doesn't always give you the best turn order to do that, so a lot of times you have to improvise on those fights, and we got a few more of them coming up here. So Wolf Shadow, maybe this would be another good time for a donation or announcement.
All right, I don't have any donations, but we do have announcements. So, just letting you all know, the Team Fastest Furs wants you to know that all the revenue from Twitch subscriptions and cheered bits received during this weekend's event will support our events now and into the future, including the upcoming Fastest Furs Live at FWA 2024. Which will be at Furry Weekend Atlanta next year. So please consider subscribing now to get the Fastest First emotes, always featuring the always adorable PB the Cheetah, which, oh my god, his name is PB, he's adorable. And don't forget to check and see if you have your free Twitch Prime Gaming sub available as well.
And please come join us at FWA if you are able. It's a good time. We had a lot of fun there this last year, so...
I wish I could, but Georgia might be a little bit too far away for me.
As fun as these events are to participate in online, there's nothing like being in person. It is a really cool experience. So just quick plug there.
I've never been to a FurryCon.
Oh, well, there's definitely plenty to check out sometime. Ferric is coming up here on, I would say, kind of like the first real boss fight of the game. So this is the Dream Eater. First of all, amazing sprite work on this.
Amazing sprite work.
But yeah, this is a big boss. Ferric is going to definitely have to kind of whittle this boss down. We're going to use some buffing and debuffing to try to speed the fight up. Nice, Rob. But we're also going to go ahead and use Sienna's Ultra again. She has the best sort of single target damage Ultra. Unfortunately, didn't get the crit. That's what we're kind of hoping for with that, but it's not guaranteed, so... and yeah, so now we're just going to kind of chip away here for a while. This fight isn't particularly scary, it's just long, and the boss does call these orbs. There's spirits or something. But we just want to kind of get through the fight as quickly as possible and keep all the damage going on the main boss, because we should be pretty safe from the yeah, they are orbs, gosh.
They are orbs, yes.
There's orbs that are like on fire.
Yep.
Yeah, if you kill those, they will do different things. If you kill the fire one, it will do an AoE fire attack, which doesn't do much, but it's slow. What's even slower is if you kill the blue one, it actually restores TP to one party member, but it is a very slow animation. So it's just not worth it. It's just absolutely worth to just forget about them.
All right, you got through it, Ferret. Good job.
Good job.
That's a difficult fight. There's a lot of optimizations to that fight that I think are still not completely clear. He goes through those 4 different phases. And yeah, that's, again, you're not really in any danger of wiping or anything like that, but in terms of a speed run, there's definitely time saves there.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see how you did it, because I do it entirely differently with a different
I think
party.
Blaze
So
has a
it's cool to see.
Exactly. It's just all these different ways of doing things. It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now we are coming up on Cortara, and one of the main things we're looking for in this area is we are going to start tracking our collectibles because there's 5 specific ones that we need. That was not one of them. I always forget to look at the first one, and then I'm just like, oh crap, was that one of the ones I needed? But we'll be helping Ferret kind of keep an eye on those. There's a really cool encounter skip coming up here that if you just sort of hug this north wall, there's like a snake encounter there that you can completely skip if you go north. You just
okay, wow. Yeah, no, nailed it. Yeah, I go south and just do the old escape method.
Yeah, you can just completely avoid it if you go north.
Oh my god.
I think Ferric was the one that found that, actually. So
Incredible.
All right, and we are already into another boss fight with, this is Ro. Ro is a pretty annoying fight. He will go into a counter stance at some point here, and when he goes into the counter stance, you just have to basically waste a turn defending, because if anybody attacks him, he will counter with a very long animation and a really nasty ability that brings all of your characters down to 1 hit.
Don't do it now.
If I can, actually, debuff abilities do not cause him to attack back. So oil slash, oil slash, cleanse, and leg aim do not cause him to attack back. So you can use those to deal damage while he's in counter stance.
Very good to know. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Always learning.
We just traded information. That was great.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I honestly think the encounter skip is way more important than. Nice crit.
So now are we feeling brave with Glenn here? I think we are.
Ooh,
You're going for the
let's
kill.
See it.
No,
Not quite.
Didn't think you were quite there, but I respect it.
I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I absolutely would go for a 1-cycle Giga Drill Breaker in a marathon, and I will die for it. So I'm well aware.
There we go.
You were only off by a couple hundred hit points.
Yeah. And I figured you wouldn't get that many attacks, so I think it was okay. All right, back to Len and Glenn.
This was the first part where I was like, oh, this is Final Fantasy VI, because the classic splitting up into three parties. So.
Yep, our party of 6 has sort of been scattered, and so we're gonna have to play through a little mini scenario with 3 unique smaller parties. This is Len, and Glenn, and we are gonna be. We're all gonna meet up at the end, but we have 3 different paths through the mountain, basically.
Yeah. Sort of the things that we're looking for is in the top right corner. Getting the 5 out of 5 collectibles is nice to know that we've got 5 different varieties of collectibles. We want to see the 10, because that means that we've guaranteed it. But like we already need 5 very specific ones. But as Moon said at the start, one of the ones we got wasn't actually one we needed, so we need to keep an eye out for one of the ones that we actually need to get.
Yeah, I think you're at 3 out of 5 right now.
Okay.
That's what I've seen.
Yep. I think you still need a 5-leaf clover and a rat. This just sounds horrible to say, by the way.
It was going to be worse when I said I'm pretty sure it was a rock, honestly.
No, there's none of the inanimate objects. I've had to train my brain to remember like what they are, and it's like no rocks, no pebbles. They're inanimate.
Oh, isn't it? Oh, so it's oily mango. It's 5-leaf clover, rat, mantis,
and newt. Newt is the last one.
Yeah, there you go. All right, yeah, no, you can tell that I'm well versed in this game. Honestly, like I've always thought it was pebble. I've been like it's always been pebble. It hasn't. It's fine.
Yeah, this
What?
I will say the focus on the upgrades is fairly new. That's pretty new, and like the iteration of this route that Ferric and I in particular have kind of worked on. So
the addition of glaive and wakizashi, which is Sienna's extra weapon, is new. We've always had trying to get the rare materials pack to upgrade the recode bow early. That's always been in the route. It saves us having to do a shop in Tormund to buy a long feather, essentially.
Yep.
So, and that will all become apparent. I know there are a lot of words going out there at the moment. This will become all apparent when we inevitably get to it.
Yeah, just know that when we're excited, that's a good thing.
Yes,
like we're happy RPG speedrunners. We're doing another big menu here. We're learning some pretty important skills on Rob. Actually, all three of these party members, Rob and Victor, and Killian. We've learned charging on Rob, which is pretty much the start of a really big combo with Rob. Rob is going to ultimately be like our big time damage dealer. Charging is sort of the first piece of that puzzle. Charging will allow him on his next attack to deal boosted damage. I think it starts out at 130 and then it ends up at either 150 or 175. And then Victor he will learn the next part of that puzzle after this mine sequence. We're gonna kind of start layering on elemental damage as well, which is another way that we can really kind of solve the puzzle of combat in this game, I would say.
Sometimes if you go too fast, you'll actually beat the dialogue, and then you have to escape out of the combat, and that's what happened right there. So.
Yeah, I noticed that. That's unfortunate, but that does happen.
There's about 5 places in the game where I think that can happen.
Yeah.
If you're in the middle of a move when the cutscene when the text finishes, it's actually fine.
Yeah, it's like certain frames it gets confused by, and it can actually happen in all kinds of fights. But yeah, if your characters are in, there's like these scripted dialogue sequences, but when we know exactly where we're going, we can kind of get to the place where we're in a fight before, like if you were just kind of ambling around in a new area, you wouldn't have to worry about that as much. But since we go so quickly from point A to point B, like we get into the combat before the game is ready for it, and as a result, sometimes it can lock up, and then we just have to escape the fight and start over, basically. So,
nice crit.
Yep. And now we are fighting a giant eyeball, and we're riding a minecart, which again, very RPG.
G'day, Gazer. How's it going? Good fight.
Yeah, the tricky thing about that is the minecart has switches, and you have to be careful when you hit the switch and make sure you're going the correct direction.
All right, everyone get ready to dab. I hope you're all ready to dab. The moves that these guys do are very important. I want you to all dab with me. You ready?
The Ashen guy.
All stats lit.
They're lit. I'm not gonna dab because I would totally.
You're on screen though. You should
wreck
dab.
this microphone.
Oh, that's true.
That's fine. I dabbed for you both.
I believe it. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, the minecart gimmick is actually kind of interesting. We're gonna have a boss fight with that coming up as well. So the switches, there's 2 things. First of all, I think Ferric mentioned, like, sometimes your cursor, depending on what type of attack you do, will actually default onto the switch, which is basically like you just wasted a turn. The other thing is
first physical attack. Yeah.
Yep. Definitely in the Gazer fight, but there is a good chance that you will need to do this in the boss fight that we're coming up on. You have to hit a particular switch before you get to the junction, or the game will just like game over. And that's part of the fun, I guess, in quotes. But yeah, it is an interesting take on the traditional RPG minecart ride.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good fun, especially this one coming up where it sort of like tricks you into being like, well, maybe you should do it, and then you don't have to, and then the second one you do it. That's how they get you.
Yeah. There's like a map that you can look at, and we sort of know like which switches we have to hit by which junction. But yeah, when you're starting out, it's like you definitely need to look at your map, and if you're playing the game on normal, the fights will go on for enough cycles for sure that like you'll probably have to hit like 4 or 5 switches to get through, especially this fight here.
Yeah, you've heard me say first cycle Giga Drill Breaker, which means killing it before you need to hit a switch. Because if your
Yes.
damage is good enough, you don't need to, and you've got like the right moves set up and everything, you can one cycle Giga Jawbreaker without needing to press a switch. The downside of that is if you don't press a switch and you don't get it, it is just a game over and you need to redo the fight.
Yeah. Yeah, you got a good amount of damage here, Ferric, but I think for a marathon run, we're probably not going to press our luck, so...
That's fair. I approve of that.
Hopefully that's the correct direction.
It is. You did good. It's east for the first fight and west for the second fight. Although east also...
I
east
go,
also
yeah, I was going to say, I go east for both. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you can just remember east for both.
Well, it's mostly that it's just one click away instead of having to...
Oh, east works for both? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good fight also, though. Like, you got him on, like, the second attack after the junction, so...
Really good fight.
So what I'm trying to say is you should have gone for it.
No!
No, I don't think you had it.
No, you didn't have enough rub attacks. It's fine.
No.
You did great.
Yep. All right, so this is we're layering on the Rob combo here. So those two abilities that Ferric just learned, he learned a song on Victor, who's basically a bard, by the way. We didn't really talk about Victor much before, but Ferric hasn't been using him that much to this point. That is going to change. Learned a song called Basso Profundo. Basso Profundo is going to afflict the dry status on all enemies. And what the dry status does is it makes them very susceptible to water damage. It means they will take double damage from water. There's a rat. I think that's 4 out of 5 now.
There we go. Yep, looks good.
And then Rob, coincidentally, at the same time, learned a passive called Water Attack. And Rob's attacks are all going to deal water damage now. So what you're going to see, and this is going to be pretty consistent throughout the rest of the run, is you're going to see the first cycle of Rob doing charge, Victor doing Basso Profundo, and then Rob just doing some sort of ridiculous amount of damage the next round because he's going to be dealing double damage from the dry-wet interaction plus the extra damage from the charge. So it gets out of control in a hurry. And it is absolutely the easiest way to deal big numbers worth of damage in this game that we have found consistently.
The reason we picked Rob over everyone else is because of his inherent inbuilt water attack and how easy it is to get water as an AoE. Because firstly, you'll notice that every time Victor does his trumpet toot, it inflicts dry on everything. So it's instead of, say, you might see Glenn use an oil strike, that's a single target debuff. Whereas Basso Profundo hits everything, which is incredibly important. And secondly, how early he learns it as well. Whereas a lot of, I want to say Barthraz can learn Earth Attack, but that's not until like the 3rd level of level ups. So like the faster we learn it, the better. Plus, the math kind of works out that charge is 1.25 the damage, and then with water attack and Basso Profundo, the water attack that Rob has, it adds an extra 30% on top of that. So it compounds and it just does absurd amounts of damage. That's not including, you'll see later on the run that we stack debuffs as well as armor break as well, and that just becomes an incredible multiplication.
Yeah, the numbers get very big very quickly, and even now it's just this is more this is the most damage we can deal with pretty much anything in our arsenal at the moment. So, that was I don't think
that's a very
meant to do
cute
that,
end
but
of the
that was
fight.
actually
Well
really funny that you attacked the bomb and then the bomb exploded.
I like
to kill
that.
him, so
Yeah.
That's good. I like that a lot.
Style points.
Yep.
All for it.
So we're still -1 item, correct?
Yes.
Sean in chat, what happens if you pick the wrong direction? A lot of times you die. So
Yes, that is absolutely correct.
Yep.
Yeah, it'll say your path has ended or something along those lines.
Yeah,
exactly.
You will just need to restart the fight.
Your
Two things.
your ride has ended.
Yeah, that's 5-leaf clover. So I believe that's all of them.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Newt
that
as
was
well,
a new.
so-
I'm like,
Yeah.
you're probably missing one of the non-required ones. I'm pretty sure you've gotten all of them.
In the map as well, the some directions will give you a shield, some direction will cause poison. If you go east on the Giga Jawbreaker fight, it actually just deals a flat 50 damage to everyone. So I've definitely killed Giga Jawbreaker before with that, so it's nice and fun. But it's sort of if you don't pick the correct way, And then yeah, it is just a congratulations, restart the fight.
Yep.
Sienna's got great music too. That's another thing to really like about her.
Yeah.
So
the
good.
sequence has always
So
reminded me of
whimsical, yeah.
Locke in South Figaro in Final Fantasy VI, because you're sort of sneaking around, you're going in like these hidden doors and houses, and we end up in the mine shaft again, at least to kind of pass through. And then we meet a character at the bar, and we give him a bunch of money to join us. That also kind of reminds me of Final
we
Fantasy
meet
VI. So.
Bathraz at the bar, do we? Oh, okay,
Yep.
all right.
Yep. We're like, hey, handsome, can I buy you a drink? No.
Instead, what if I gave you a bunch of money?
Yeah, that works too. Yeah, this game has a lot of furry characters in it. There's some races that are animal or anthro, and then Bathraz is like kind of a lizard man. So
With metal limbs.
yep. Yeah, we've had a lion. We've had multiple lions that we've seen. There was a bull in the early prologue. Unfortunately, we don't really see him anymore.
Unfortunately.
But yeah. Yep. So it's just this game checks a lot of boxes for me personally and us personally, I guess. So it's a good time.
It's a very good representation. Big fan of it.
Yep.
Now,
all right,
Bathraz will
go ahead.
go on.
No, you're good.
So Bathraz will become essentially the next piece of the puzzle. That won't be for a little while. Bathraz has an ability called Draw Iron, which will inflict the heavy status on enemies in an AoE. And that's very important because the next thing we're going to do is give Rob Earth Attack, which means whenever Earth Attack stacks with the heavy debuff, and that's another with the amount that the Earth Attack will be, it's like an extra 60% on top of that. And so, as I said before, you're just adding multipliers on top of the original damage, and it starts to get absurd. That and Bathraz will also be the key to the end game, and it's very, very exciting to see.
Oh yeah, but Thraz ends up. We have a few hours of that left, and what Stronk was describing with the Earth Belt isn't till Act 2, so we're a bit away from that as well. But we are building towards things right now.
Yeah, we've already started. We've already started learning specific moves. We're going to pick up an item in probably 20 minutes or so. That is like the start of really, really getting Bathraz into a position where the end game is all his.
Yep.
And it's like we're only like 40 minutes in.
In the meantime, Ferric picked up a hidden weapon for Sienna called the Wakizashi. Ferric loves that word. And
Very wacky for the Wakizashi.
That is really going to help Sienna become one of our best damage dealers here for the rest of this early game. She also just has this absurdly high natural crit rate, and we just learned an ability called Crit Damage Up, so every time she gets a crit, she's going to be dealing a ton of extra damage as well.
So here's Bathraz's Ultra for the first time. Got to summon in the big gun.
Yeah, this thing is...
I don't know how he holds that with those small arms, but he manages.
What you would have noticed there is Bathraz did 10 hits, 10 individual hits, which become very important. What that sort of does is it works off of Bathraz's magic stat, the enemy's defense, and then any kind of other debuffs that are on it. But so unlike, say, Glenn's Cross Slash, which is the 3-hit that you've seen him do multiple times, if you use up a debuff using Glenn's Cross Slash, it only affects the first hit. The next 2 hits aren't affected by it. Whereas Bathraz's Ultra move, the 10 hits, get all 10 hits with the attributes that are on the enemy at the time, and that becomes very important.
Yep. Yeah, Bathraz has access to some very good like multiplier-based abilities as well. Also, just we're going to use Bathraz's Ultra a lot in the run. What I would say to anybody watching is if you want to know how much damage is being done, like Stronk was just saying, it's a 10-hit attack, so just put a 0 on the end, and then that'll be the amount of damage that it dealt. So.
Yeah, so what you saw us do was 960 damage to Osric, which is, in this early stage, incredible.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's the entire amount of health that Osric has. Maybe just under. So to bring us up with the story, what we've done here is we've all met up at the White Rose Inn. We skipped a very, very, very important cutscene where we sort of got explained how regeneration and rebirth and everything work in this universe. like whenever you die, your soul goes up to what's called the maelstrom. And whenever a new person or new like living thing is born, they use like one spirit out of the maelstrom comes down. You sort of heard like a wail there. You'll hear it again in a moment, and I'll point it out. What's actually happened is this man and his daughter have learned the ability to be able to put souls into flowers, essentially. What's also quite curious is two things. First thing, Lena has disappeared. And secondly, apparently a bunch of people from the town have disappeared. That's what we're sort of doing at the moment, is talking around to the townsfolk to see what's going on. Turns out all roads point back to the father, so we're going to try and see what's going on. And as we'll see here in 1 second, is there's actually a hidden back entrance to the inn that we're going to go check out.
Yep. Also, for those keeping score at home, this is one Len abduction. It will not be the last, so put that one up on the
It
board.
really won't be.
Len
Oh
has-
my god,
Len
I
has
haven't
been
counted them
kidnapped
yet.
One time.
There's quite a few, unfortunately.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, there's so many. Yeah, you're right.
I've speedrun a lot of Final Fantasy X. One of the jokes in the Final Fantasy X community is the party just cannot stop losing Yuna. I think Len would give Yuna
So
a run
that's
for her
interesting. So
money.
now I know why those flowers made that noise. I didn't know that before.
Yes, yep, absolutely. So yeah,
Thank you
so
for
what you're
that
doing is
lore,
you're
that's
sort of
great.
like, yeah, you're sort of releasing the souls that are in them. They're sort of like those cup flowers. But yeah,
But you're also stomping on them. So how you monster? How dare you?
yes, yeah. In your defense, though, everyone does it also. So, you know.
All right. So Ferric is doing some more skill ups here. He's going to learn an important ability for this next sequence on Len called Wind Jump, which is going to allow us to hopefully one cycle the enemies that are coming up here as we try to escape from this. Honestly, it's like a little prison here underneath the
it's
inn.
kind
So,
of underneath the inn, pretty creepy.
Ferric, do you want some pudding?
This generally does make me pretty hungry for pudding, but this late at night, probably not. But thank you.
I could go for some pudding.
Okay, so we got all 4 of our characters going, so we should be able to one cycle these.
Yeah, nice.
Which is really nice.
Nicely done.
Oh wow, that's pretty
Yep.
cool.
So originally, that's why we got the 1 level up on the glaive, is we figured out that the plus on the glaive was enough with wind jump to deal just enough damage to kill these, if you didn't get any criticals or anything. And then, you know, the plus actually helps a little bit later on as well. So
Yeah, wild. Because if you have wind jump, it makes the 4 thieves fight a little bit easier also. Because they're all weak to wind, so if you have third eye, you can wind jump and do the amount of damage that you would do with a Rob power swing. It's very cool.
And I'm gonna have to listen back to this playthrough because you're giving us all the tech that I don't know. This is great.
I mean,
got a
I was like,
It's like I'm trying to do the run, but I'm also trying to pay attention. Like, wait, what? Like that's a really good idea. Like I need to do that. So
oh, I'm definitely picking things up from this. It's
This
like
is
I said,
great.
it's so hard to like, because it is a long run. It's so hard to find time to sit down and like
It
really
is.
watch each other's runs. And so this is really nice to see how you guys have sort of figured out the early game, because I figured out my own early game with generous help from Cat Bus, who was one of the people who's actually just come back. 881. My
Yep.
lord.
that is the power of the Wakizashi plus.
Yeah, listen, you're only just selling me on it now, honestly. But yeah, so like the very early route had a very specific way of doing this early game, and it got really consistent. But it's nice to see how many changes you can do from an early point of view. It's very cool.
my
I'm very
gosh.
interested. Yeah, it's a good thing.
if you ever get
Well
a
done.
Petal Storm too, Petal Storm's just amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking to kind of optimization of this run, it's difficult because changes that you make early on can affect you significantly later in the run. So it's not like you can just, practice for 5-10 minutes. Like you might be committed to getting deep
Yeah.
into the run to see if those changes alter stuff that's later on, and that is
Yeah.
a real challenge for the long run.
Yeah.
I sort of call where this fight is like the first. If you're gonna do it, you're gonna do the first 50 minutes, which is up to here.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, that fight is one that has been a really big focal point of trying to figure out how to do some better strats, because it's a boss that has a lot of hit points. It really drags on, and then she also does some really nasty abilities if you get later into the fight as well. So This is a very difficult skip that you also
Yeah,
got
this is
first try. Nice job.
well done. This is my least favorite one.
Thank you.
Had a question in the chat. Are there any other instant lose conditions other than just choosing the wrong path? For the mines, I don't think so, unless you go into one of the damage zones and you're at low health. So,
yeah, no instant lose. There are very few instant lose conditions. We'll see in. Funnily enough, we won't see it, but in the very very last fight, there is an instant where you can instantly lose.
Yes.
That is sort of played around with, and then besides that, I don't think there's anything that just instantly takes you out. Most things give you a pretty good fighting chance, but this is a very nice casual experience. I did notice, and it seems to be one of the major feedbacks that come with it, that like it does become the fights do become quite repetitive, and I get that. In the game's defense, it also has a lot of different variations once the game actually opens up. If you find it that it's the same thing every time, it's actually so easy to change up, because what you do is you get so many characters. You'll see towards the end of the game, our whole character slot fills up. There's also more characters that we don't even get in the game, in the run, that you can actually use, and they are some of the wildest characters. Like the ways that they work, phenomenal.
yeah, I agree with all of that.
And also the emblems that you can get to sort of like mix and match like the different character abilities is quite. It has the customization that a lot of people are looking for. So
yeah,
I get this. I've never gotten this skip before, and I didn't get it this time.
I've gotten it.
I've got it
twice.
once.
I've never gotten it
once,
not even once.
There's like one frame that if you start holding the cutscene skip button down, it will skip this cutscene.
I don't even know if it's when it goes black, before it goes black. Like I've got no clue. It is literally a shot in the dark.
Yeah.
And if you get it,
has to be like frame perfect.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Has to be.
Yep.
But what we're coming up to is what we were saying earlier, is getting something that will set Bathrise up for essentially the end game. Do you want to go back and get the Charm of the Learner?
Nope, we don't get that. We don't get that anymore.
Oh, I apologize. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So back
That's
there
okay.
is
But you can explain that there's a chest.
Oh, I
back
will.
there
I'm
that
yeah, great.
that
Sorry.
we will not be getting. So.
Oh, wild. Okay, so what there
Yeah.
is there's an accessory behind a church that is called Charm of the Learner, and what it is it doubles the amount of SP growth that you get from fights. And what is traditionally done is put on Bathrise essentially from now onwards. And so when we get to what the final menu of the game is, you've got an extreme amount of SP available to be able to level up your skills. But now I'm so invested. I want to see how this turns out. I've never not done it.
It turns out great. Like I was just like you. I'm like, there's no way I'm not getting Charm of the Learner. And then as soon as I stopped doing it, as soon as I stopped doing it, I was like, yeah, don't need it.
If you strategically place your level ups, you lean on the reward board enough to get extra SP, you really don't need it.
That's fair. I get the reward board. I essentially only get reward board from the SP in the next upcoming section to level up Power Swing for Rob, and then like the only last time is in Shambhala. So I don't actually really touch the SP board, the reward board for SP. So I'm invested now. I'm keen.
We got a pretty long cutscene here. I think this would maybe be a good time for Wolf Shadow to give us an update or an announcement or two.
Okay, so we still don't have any donations yet. If anybody's listening,
The wee hours of
y'all
the
can
morning.
change that. Y'all can change that. Give me something to read. Currently, as far as like the incentives, I don't know where this comes in because this is my first time really seeing this game. But the Sky Armor bid war is still sitting at green. Is winning currently at $25. So I know that you guys mentioned that we're not quite there yet, but soon, TM, I believe.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and talk about that in just a second. Do you want to maybe tell everybody that's watching about Trans Lifeline?
Yeah. So the donations this weekend go to Trans Lifeline, as just mentioned, and you can get entered to win prizes donated by members of the Festival community, including badges, coasters, Walking Dog record music collections, and of course the grand prize is a Switch OLED and The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. Use the command donate, exclamation point donate in the chat to make a donation, and then the command exclamation prizes to see all the prizes available during the marathon. as far as Trans Lifeline itself, right now it is currently, is it? No, it's next week. Next week, from November 13th and 19th, is Transgender Awareness Week. And November 20th marks the annual Transgender Day of Remembrance. So we're proud to be putting this event off as a kickoff to the Transgender Awareness Week in hope of raising awareness for the issues facing the transgender and gender nonconforming people everywhere. So thank you everyone for joining us, and we encourage you to support Trans Lifeline and their life-saving work.
Yeah, we actually had Steph from Trans Lifeline on earlier today. We were able to do a interview in VR chat, which was really cool. So
That's sick. That's wild.
That
check
sounds
that out
neat.
later. It was a
Yeah.
lot of fun. JD Puppy, one of our staff members, and Steph did the interview live in VR chat, and we got some help from some of the community members as well that were kind of acting as framers and camera people. So it was a really cool experience, and it was our first ever live interview. So we were really happy to be able to do that.
Yeah,
That's
that's
incredible. Big fan of that.
So just to talk a little bit about the Sky Armor bid war, because we're not quite there yet. We basically get the Sky Armor at the very end of Act 1. And there's 5 colors in the bid war. I believe it's green, blue, red, purple, and orange. I will tell you that 3 of those colors are basically reskins of Evangelion mechs, or Evas, I guess you would say. So if you're an Evangelion fan and you have like a particular character or mech design that you like, there's 4 big mechs, and we're going to change all of the mechs to the color that is in the bid war. And then it's also going to be a rolling bid war. So if you want to see different colors throughout the rest of the run, there will be different opportunities as we go on where we'll be able to stop and change them for you. So definitely keep those donations coming in for Trans Lifeline, and you can kind of spray paint our mechs if you want. Coming up probably in about, I would say, we'll get the mechs in probably about 20 minutes.
Speaking of, we did just get another small donation.
Yeah.
$5 from Sonic Mega. Incentive category upgrade to Warpless. And then comment of nice.
Oh, Warpless in this run. It would be a lot of running. We could do it. It would be a lot of running.
Whoa, could we?
We couldn't do it as efficiently as we do now.
Not gonna do that. No.
Yeah.
Oh well, just getting anywhere from Hermit Isle. Oh, I guess you could just.
Well, we'd be
aircraft,
able to
right?
board the
Oh.
airship. We
Okay.
would have to be able to use the airship, but yeah.
I'm gonna say, yeah, that seems rough.
Oh man. Okay, and now Ferric is coming up on the first like real maze of the run. So far we've been doing a lot of combat, a lot of little questing. This game has some really wild puzzles and like environmental puzzles and areas and things like that. And this is the first one of these. So we're gonna do a little bit more buffing and menuing here, and then we're gonna sort of get into this area. And then there's gonna be a puzzle once Ferric gets going in here where you have to basically, I guess you'd say like drizzle. There's like this oil or something. You have to like drizzle it on these pods, and then they raise up out of the water, and then forms paths that you can run across. So, but you have to do them in a specific order, and you have to do all of the ones that are required to sort of advance out of the area. So, it's a lot of really specific movement and not getting lost, I guess.
Not zoning out.
This area also
Which
is
is
just
what
kind
we
of very samey, I would say. So.
You like sacks? We got a lot of sacks for you here in Perpetua. We're gonna be drizzling a lot of. I think it's like pollen, isn't it, or something like that? It's something
Probably,
that makes the mushrooms grow. I believe it's actually a pollen.
Yeah, what does
but yeah,
make-
we got a lot of sacks here for you in Chained Echoes if you're a big fan of it. There's one right now.
But we don't have the
Oh,
we
we-
don't have the truffle oil yet. That's what I'm
We
gonna
don't
call it
know.
now.
You're right. I mean, as a chef, yeah, I agree with you. It is absolutely truffle oil. So. We did, however, pass possibly what I consider my greatest contribution to the speedrun, which is the gazer skip.
Yes.
Which actually doesn't even, I don't even use it anymore. There's a way that you can manipulate that you go around it. You don't even need to worry about it. So I'm disappointed that even I don't use it anymore.
Oh,
Nice to
no
see
way.
it still
I love
being
the
used
gazer
in.
again. It's like
Yeah,
my
I know
favorite
exactly.
thing.
Exactly. Oh, it's
I
so
love
nice to
showing
see.
that off. So.
It's so cool. It's my heart.
I will never not gazer skip. It's too fun.
So what I do is you sort of, when you leave Tormund, you go straight down instead of teleporting back out, and you follow the path that way, and so you go the gazer on the other side, and if you hug the wall, you could skip it that way, so you don't even need to do it. So I unfortunately don't even get to do it anymore, but yeah, if you I sort of figured out that while it's running away, it can't target you, so you can run past it, and it looks so cool. It's like one of the biggest things that like really show off that all the enemies have their own tracking and pathing, and that they're already on the battlefield as well. It's super cool.
So Ferric is running around doing like the whole mushroom puzzle thing right now, and
this one coming up here is sort of like the first sort of like here's backtracking. Here's second. The other big one is like
backtracking exactly.
Yeah, there's sort of like three that I sort of put down to. It's this one. It's when you get the Belit's bow when you're going back and forth between the totems, and then it's Glenn's mind. That's sort of like the three big ones.
Yeah.
Is it possible to pop in with a donation?
Absolutely, this is a great time.
All right, perfect. So we've got the Way Mutt with a $10 donation. Incentive again, category upgrade to Workless. Comment of, hey y'all, thanks so much for keeping the stream up while I am working the graveyard shift in the data center.
Nice.
Hey Ferric and Strong, my friends told me to ask about Joke Boss Guardian Soldier. Excuse me. What's that about?
Guardian Soldier.
That's more than I know. I don't know any bosses called Guardian Soldier.
Your guess is as good as mine.
I'll keep an eye on the chat. Maybe somebody in the chat will know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're happy to be the overnight cozy RPG speedrun tonight. Is a time-honored tradition in many a speedrun marathon to put a nice cozy RPG on overnight. So. And then I think you mentioned there was like a category upgrade incentive, Wolf Shadow. Is that what game is that for?
I don't know. I don't know if it's for this one. It's for Harry on the Road. There we go.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah, I hope it's not for this one, unless I'm doing all bosses tonight and I didn't realize it.
Harry on the Road. So I believe that's probably going to be one of the next ones coming up.
Yeah, I think that's in the morning sometime.
So I found out what Guardian Soldier is. We absolutely skip it in the run. So in the Tormund Sky Armor section, there's there's an area there's an optional part to clear out all the other cannons, and once you can fly around, there's a line of like 12 or 10 of the enemies, and then right at the back there's a guy called Guardian Soldier. And yeah, because you can just leg sweep them, you just beat them in one. So it sounds like a pretty cool thing to do as like outside of Sky Armor. But in Sky Armor, yeah, it's a one-hit kill. That's very cool. I like that a lot. Now we're on to one of the first, what I would call trick bosses. So yes. We're going to see right here, Twisting Mind. This is what I was alluded to much earlier when we were talking about the Overdrive bar, where they tend to play with it a little bit more. As you can see here, the green is split between two categories, and the red is extended a lot. So even in easy mode, or what's called easy mode, the red is exactly the same whenever it's in a Twisting Mind has been used. And so trying to finagle between that, because not that it matters so much here, because Ferric did a fantastic job. You do less damage whenever you're in the red Overdrive.
Yeah, that was a very good fight. Good job, Ferric.
Yeah, that actually went really well.
Yeah, you're doing a great job. I know this is
it's tough, all the dialogue, like people talking, so it's like very different than just doing like a PB attempt.
Yep. No, you're doing a good
coming
job.
up is by far my least favorite boss in the entire game, and it's not even that hard a boss. It is not, and for some reason it just does my head in, and I can't understand it. It's so much. It's like, because if you do it quick enough, you never need to change phase, which means you never take enough damage to die. But if he doesn't change phase, then it keeps getting worse, and so it's trying to figure out how to do it.
My friend, you need to witness the power of the Wakizashi ++. I
am so keen, because at the moment, yeah, I've gone through probably 3 or 4 different things to figure out. In the world record, it's Killian, Rob, Victor, and Glenn, and it's just it's just Tank Town.
Good clean gen and get you excited about that.
I'm looking so forward to it. So this area is one of the prettiest areas in the game. You've got these gorgeous corals. We're also fighting these Jinn, which is an incredible play on words. There is their genies coming out of the bottles. And so each one of these is weak to a specific element. And I don't know if we've actually spoken about that each enemy has a weakness. It has an inherent weakness. So coming up, the boss is weak to water. In its first phase, it's weak to water. And so with Rob's water attack, it means it will proc it as well. However, if you were to add the dry status, not only does it add the 30% from the dry status, it adds an extra percent from the initial water weakness as well. So there are some bosses that will take increased amount of damage by their just inherent weaknesses, and we'll use that because most bosses, funnily enough, are weak to wind. Most Sky Armor bosses are weak to wind, and so you'll see us start to use that when we get sort of more into the Sky Armor section. But do note that every single enemy has a weakness, and sort of part of the routing and what you'll see Ferric and Moon try to do is try to use as many skills as possible to abuse the weaknesses.
Absolutely, yeah. It's definitely, you got to know your weaknesses. And this is the last fight before that boss that we were just talking about, so we'll be there momentarily. And it is a cool boss fight.
It's very
another
cool.
one of those
Yeah.
that was very confounding, I think, to a lot of us, or it felt very inconsistent.
So this is where I
feel
first like broke down in my original playthrough, is I couldn't beat it. I didn't understand how to beat it.
Mm-hmm. So I guess what I will just sort of say is it is a DPS race. Ferric already got a Pedal Storm, then he gets Armor Break on, and then Poetic March for another defensive buff.
Focus for a minute. Thanks.
Yep.
I'm not sure. I don't quite remember what I did, but I think I'll be okay.
Alright, and hopefully this will do the trick. Ferric had a really specific set of actions that he wanted to do. If not, you're probably only like one swing away, so...
Yeah, that's fine. You survived the second one anyway, so...
There we go.
There you go.
Nice fight.
Easy. Nice.
Yeah.
Good fight.
If that fight drags on more...
It is dangerous, though, because like you said, like if it drags on, you'll just wipe. Like,
yeah.
It's just one of those fights, so...
Yeah, if it drags on more than like 3 rounds, you can be in big trouble. So as long as you can sort of win that damage race, you're in really good shape, and Sienna helps out with that quite a bit.
So what
Yeah,
you
you
haven't
can kinda
seen is you
like-
haven't seen us... Go on, sorry.
go ahead. I was just going to say, kind of like you were saying earlier, you want to take advantage of the fact that he's weak to water, and then you can do the Poetic March, which buffs everybody, and then kind of, capitalize on that with Sienna's Ultra, so that's kind of how that went.
Yeah, and what we haven't seen, actually, besides right at the start of the run, where we picked up that double, is we haven't picked up any armor whatsoever. We haven't picked up any armor for any character. So every character is still running on its original armor. And so, like, you'll see that at the start of that, or whenever Jin got a move, he inflicted fire resistance down on us, which means we take more damage to fire. And the more that he stays in fire form, the more damage we take to fire. So it gets really sketchy because we don't have extra armor to be able to increase our defense. So we're running very, very close to the line on that fight.
Yep.
I'm trying to get stuff set up for you because I know you like it a certain way.
Oh, you don't have to do that. It's okay.
Okay.
But I appreciate that.
But I think that's what you want, so...
I think there's really only one thing that I'm gonna have to look for, and honestly, I'll probably be changing Sky Armor colors at some point, so I can just check it then.
Coming up is the infamous skip of the run, because if you don't skip it at a very particular time, you can't, and it's like a minute cutscene. But we're also introduced to the thieves, which we saw right at the start in Sienna's story, right when we first got control of her. We sort of skipped the cutscene, but we're introduced to these four thieves from the Thieves Guild, and they're just trying to be menaces, and so we're going to put them in their place.
Yeah, this game has an interesting sort of cast of, I would say, like, recurring characters. And this is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Very nicely done. And then, yeah, Ferric has to immediately start skipping this cutscene, otherwise he will not be able to skip
trouble.
I've been caught out by that because my splitter for the thing, splitter for my live splits is when the victory thing comes up. So I'm focusing on that and not focusing on holding skip.
Yeah, I've done that before too. Also, like I'm reaching for five to like hit the split or whatever. It's like, wait, I guess I'm going to be waiting for like 90 seconds. So.
So what you can't tell at the moment is we're actually running away from the monastery. You can't tell because by skipping the cutscene, it actually skips the trigger to play the music. So what we're doing is we're very casually and very nonchalantly running away from
Flashing
where
through
we
the
just
water.
were. But we're actually what should be playing is high intensity running music because we're actually running for our lives. Because the cutscene that we skipped was the dark sky armor popped up and sort of was like,
Yep.
you know, we need to take you with us, and so we don't want that to happen, and so we're running away, and we're going to sort of backtrack all the way through Perpetua, and we're going to see what happens.
Yeah, and I just want to point out one thing really quick because I know we've talked about this as being a glitchless run. One of the sort of tenets of this game that we sort of figured out early on, because we noticed there was a lot of inconsistency with how cutscene skipping worked in the game, is that anything that involves, like, if your only input to trigger something is holding down the cutscene skip button, that is considered not a glitch. That is not a glitch in terms of what we need as a requirement for this run. Because at the beginning of when this game first launched, and we do still play on a down patch version for a couple different reasons, but it's not really for like glitches per se. But when this game first came out, there were whole bosses that you could skip just if you knew how to skip the cutscene quite right or exactly
glory
right.
days.
I will say,
bosses.
but I will say the developer has done a nice job. I don't think intentionally, but as some of those kinds of skips have been patched out, there are still there are actually other cutscenes that we were not able to skip before that we can skip now. So I would say overall it is more or less balanced out,
Ooh.
which is kind of
That's
nice.
rough.
So, yeah.
I just gotta opt out. And I don't know if it's faster just to like escape.
It's faster to reset.
I think it is because I've done it
Yeah.
before when he's staggered. It just takes forever.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
specifically
it's
if it
faster
happens to
reset.
Rob. So
That and like you'll see your overdrive bar by the time you set back up again, you're closer to the red. So it's honestly just safer to reset and redo the fight.
yeah.
Kind of my assumption as well.
Yeah, we didn't really get a chance to explain that earlier. There are certain enemies in the game that will inflict a status called stagger, and that is basically a stun. You can reset that by escaping, or I'm sorry, not escaping. I guess that also works, but swapping to a character that is in the back row. And in this case, that really kind of would have messed up everything that we were trying to do anyway, because we're just sort of leaning on Rob super hard right now. So instead, Ferric opted to just run away and restart the fight, which you can always do. One of the cool things about combat in this game is you always start combat with full hit points and tactical points. So you never have to like open your menu and use healing items or cure spells and stuff like that. It's another thing that just really contributes to the pace of the game and the pace of the run. In a way that is just very different than most other RPGs, I think, that are out there.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't have to spend time menuing and doing that kind of stuff. And like after every fight is like looking at your hit points and everything. You know what you can and can't survive. It's really quick. One thing I will say is stagger comes up in one of the latter fights, specifically a boss fight, and you can't skip boss fights. Oh, sorry, you can't reset boss fights.
Right.
So yeah, if that does happen, like especially on Rob, what you'll see is in the fights at the moment there's one character that doesn't have someone to swap to. So if they got staggered, they would just stay staggered. You couldn't do anything with it. So there are some fights that later on we will have a full party anyway, but it's knowing who if they get staggered can they change to be like optimal, because you can't just reset that. You have to keep going. So.
And we are going to kind of leave some characters in the dust in terms of like leveling them up and things like that as well. So
This can't get skipped, unfortunately.
Used to. Oh, like I said, the glory days.
A long
Oh.
one. Yep.
yeah, this one's an unfortunate
Killian, what are
addition
you
that way,
doing?
but the reason
Yeah,
is because
Killian.
we are going to do a sky armor tutorial because we are going to get the sky armor.
Yes.
Although we can't change the color yet, so we'll not
We'll do
call
that
for
for
that
Tara.
first color yet. But
Yeah.
But yeah, you get like this whole mess of sky armor tutorial, and then we're just gonna fly around and whack stuff with a big sword. So
Killian.
Answering a question in chat, so the battle strategy is basically just go full out for every battle? Absolutely. You want to get as much damage in for the least amount of turns. essentially, and so that comes down to buffing and debuffing the enemies and yourself, and then working off of weaknesses and inherently stacking weaknesses on the enemies. And it is absurd how much damage you can push out.
Yep. Now, the one extra layer to the Sky Armor combat that we didn't see in the kind of tutorial, like the really, really beginning tutorial section, is we have what's called a gear mode now. Basically, the way we are going to use it, we're pretty much just going to go into Gear 2 right away, at least at first, and just try to deal tons of damage. As our characters level up, we'll learn more abilities on the Sky Armor that will make that maybe not as ideal, and we'll do a little bit of a mix of the gears. But basically, when you go into Gear 2, you will deal maximum damage. It also changes the direction that the overdrive meter goes in. So if you have like a couple characters in Gear 1 and a couple characters in Gear 2, you will almost always just kind of like stay right in the middle, which is nice. Because again, we don't want to end up in the red. It can be problematic in certain fights.
What we also haven't said is every time the enemy makes a move, it goes to the right by a position. No matter if you're in any kind of gear or in any kind of regular fight without Sky Armors, every time an enemy makes a move, it goes to the right by one position.
Yep. And this is the final boss of Act 1. It's not going to be much of a fight, because Sky Armor, there's a certain scaling in easy mode, and I would say Sky Armor makes a lot of the Sky Armor combat a little easier, although some of that is ability driven as well, and we'll get to that later. But that is Act 1 of Chained Echoes.
Well done,
nice job,
great Act
Eric.
1.
We're at 124 or so you're on a very good pace.
That's a very good Act 1.
Yep. And basically what has happened here is at the end of Act 1, we skipped all the cutscenes, obviously, but there was another big explosion. There's this whole, like, it's kind of like a weapon of mass destruction, I guess is how I describe it. It's called the Grand Grimoire. It's gone off twice now in the game, and we're only about an hour and a half in, so it's a major plot device. So Glenn has basically done the whole Swords to Plowshares thing, hung up his Sky Armor, and he's like, I'm not doing this anymore because, for whatever reason, wink wink, I am the person who always seems to be around when this thing goes off. So
How peculiar.
yeah, I wonder if there's a story-related reason for that. So, but then all of our friends, Sienna, Bathraz, and Victor show up. We are the ones with the Sky Armor, and then we're going to go ahead and kind of get the band back together. And I think this would be the time that we would want that first Sky Armor color. Wolf Shadow, is green still winning?
Yes, currently green is the only one that has anything.
Okay. So I think what we'll probably do, Ferric, when you get back outside or when you get a chance to get into your menus again, we'll go ahead and change all the Sky Armors to green, and then we'll also give you all a chance to see, probably while we're scrolling through some of the other colors. So it's going to be under Settings, and then Color, and the green is called Tarnfarben. Yeah.
Tarnfarben.
Yeah. And you'll get to see what those cool green Sky Armors look like. But again, there's a bunch of other colors in the Bid War, so if you want to change that up, we'll have a few points.
Hey, that's cool.
They look really good.
I never look at the colors. Those are great.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Ahead,
like I'm so sorry. I don't mean to interrupt, but it's like you switched it. I'm like, did they make him look like Sigma on purpose? I really wasn't thinking we were going to have any Mega Man X references, but here we are.
Here we are. Yep, that's true. Yeah, that is a Mega Man X reference. So, but yeah, we'll have a couple set points throughout the run. This game will kind of go into this rhythm now, where it's going to kind of alternate between Sky Armor and not Sky Armor sequences. So at the beginning, I would say of most of the Sky Armor sequences, we'll have a check-in, Wolf Shadow, and we'll see if the Bid War has changed. So you can just feel free to let us know if that changes, and you can keep us up to speed on that. So Ferric actually did some really cool tech there. That was the second time, actually, but there's a dialogue that plays, and if you sort of quickly duck back into the cave when you come out of it, it'll actually skip the dialogue, and you can come back out and just keep going.
I didn't even think the dialogue showed.
Yeah, I think you just did it just that. Yeah.
I was like, oh, where is it? I thought I was gonna have to do it again, but.
Yep. Another thing that Ferric did here is we immediately changed the weapons that Sienna and Glenn have, because Sienna is going to sort of become... they're both going to have their roles, but Sienna is really going to be our major damage dealer, and we want her to have the better attacking weapon. And then Glenn is going to learn some really good status effects. So those are going to be kind of their roles with the Sky Armor. Victor's very much like a support class. He'll do a lot of like armor breaking and things like that. And then Bathraz has an elemental cannon, which is actually really, really useful. Unfortunately, we don't get an upgrade for it for a very long time.
So I sort of misled you all when I said that Sienna doesn't actually do much towards the end of the game. Sienna is by far the biggest damage dealer in the game. When it comes to Sky Armor, she will be dealing a considerable chunk of damage, but not in her regular phase, like not in her regular form.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Towards the latter part of the game.
Sienna definitely has a role to play still towards the end. So.
So I don't know if you're still building towards the classic multi-target shenanigans on Sky Armor, but that's sort of the direction that changing the weapons will go. Is you can learn Sky Armor abilities. You learn them a lot quicker than what you would normally, because not only do the bigger enemies in the Sky Armor give you more SP, but you require less SP to learn the abilities. So you'll notice that you're like in between fights, you'll learn like the next ability on the weapon very, very quickly. And one of those for Sienna will be a multi-target, and then you've also got your light shot and dark shot. And as I said, everything has an inherent weakness. So most Sky Armor things are weak to wind. However, a lot of the bosses are weak to light and dark. So that's going to become in handy, especially when Sienna can do stuff like charge. To deal just considerable chunks of damage. So I'm very keen to see how this goes.
Yeah, and I love this screen that Ferric is on right now as like a way that the game does a really good job of sort of, I would say, kind of like soft skill building for like how to play it. So you come out, you have to go through this sequence where you get into the Sky Armor, but then you have to get out of the Sky Armor across this narrow pathway. And then you have to do a fight, and then you have to get back into your Sky Armor to get to the next area. And it's just, there's like only certain... If you've ever played an RPG, you know, like you can't land your airship on a mountain or a forest tile or something like that. So there's rules like that to the Sky Armor as well. But the way the game really does a lot of, I would say, environmental learning is just really, really smart. It's one of my favorite things about the game, because it's puzzly, but you don't feel like you're in a tutorial puzzle, I guess is the way I would describe it. So
yeah, absolutely. It doesn't treat you like you don't know anything.
Yes.
It still treats you as someone who is competent, but it will give you all the breadcrumbs to be able to pick everything up yourself. It's very well done. Absolutely.
And we're coming up on our first sort of Sky Armor boss here, where we fight as a party. This is the Cortara Condor. Again, not much of a fight because we're pretty overpowered relative to the bosses.
But Haku's going to help.
Yeah,
we do get introduced to one of the main mechanics for bosses, though, which you'll see in 1 second, which is act twice. Yes. So now what the boss can do is each time you see it in the top right corner, it will be able to use 2 moves, and we'll see that progress throughout the run as well. So it's not like it's a 4-on-1 at this point, but the boss will get 2 moves each time, and that becomes relevant, especially for stacking things up on them.
Yep. Right, Ferric, you're doing great.
Thank you.
Now we're going to go on a little bit of a scavenger hunt. Actually, there's kind of an important story thing that happens here. So we got our Sky Armor. This is actually where we get the airship as well. At this point, the game really opens up to you. You can go so many different places. Yep, don't miss your very specific cutscene skip here. Nicely done. If you try to skip that cutscene too soon, you have to watch the whole thing, and it is not short. So, but yeah, once you get the Sky Armor and the airship, the world really does open up to you. Ferric is going to go on a little bit of a scavenger hunt here for some really specific items called RAM. RAM are kind of like accessories for the Sky Armor. We're going to get one that gives SP up, We're going to learn one that gives increased magic. And I think just for fun, Ferric is probably going to grab the biologist ram as well, because it's right there. Why not?
It's literally right
Sure,
there.
eat your heart out.
How could I not?
It doesn't hurt anything. And then after this, we're actually going to do two other things. We're going to get an NPC that will help us. The game has like a really elaborate allies NPC system where once you get the airship, and you have like this whole hideout now called Hermit Isle that your sort of band of your mercenary band, I guess is what you would call it. You can sort of find random NPCs throughout the world that will join you. We got one of them there. His name is Bao. He's going to give us extra SP in our random encounter, or not random encounters, but like our basic encounters. And that is one thing that will help us get our SP to the levels that we need it to be for the end game. Then we're going to come over here and get the scavenger shaman emblem. Which is going to be a big boost for Bathraz. It's basically like a mage emblem. And then after this, Ferric is actually going to go down and flip a random switch, which is also in this area, which is not going to make any sense when we do it right now.
Yeah, don't worry about it. No,
it's going to be for a quest that I'm actually going to start when I take over in probably about 20 minutes. So
it's fantastic because you can actually do the switch on the first screen in Roland Fields as well. It's cool because you don't have to think about it, right? You just go down there, you're like, oh, this is cool. You go down there and you learn all your new location and you do all this stuff. But it doesn't become relevant until now. But you can actually get all three switches that you need before even starting the quest.
Interesting.
You can. And it's an interesting routing exercise as well. So we're just going to try to route them in the way that seems most efficient for us, because the main story quest at this point is we are looking for. It says new allies, and there is a princess who we are going to try to sort of save from trouble. She's been hidden away, and we're gonna
Amalia.
We're gonna figure out where she is, and then we're gonna go rescue her. So
she's got a pretty cool little buddy with her too.
Yeah. And I'm actually going to go ahead and take this opportunity because I know I'm going to be taking over here in a few minutes. I'm going to go give myself a little quick break.
Okay.
And then good luck finishing up your segment. I know you're going to do great.
I'll see you shortly.
Yep, I'll be right back.
So coming up here, like I would say this fight and the next fight that we do with our non-Sky Armor friends are probably the two sketchiest fights without any armor. Purely because purely because
these fights, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. So the mage in the back can do AoE damage, and in the next coming fight there is two mages. And so just because we don't have the defense yet, which we'll get in a moment, but like because we are in Act 2 now on Act 1 gear, it's starting to get a little bit sketchy. So coming up now, we're gonna enter like sort of the first like area. You don't actually need to fight anything in this area. We will, but we don't actually need to. So we're gonna take on these Sky Armors, and if you see in the bottom left, if Ferric gives us a chance, too quick. These are surprisingly weak to wind. As I said, most Sky Armors are weak to wind. So what Bathraz can learn but hasn't yet is wind shot.
The way you were saying that, I thought like I missed it.
No, you're fine. You're all,
I don't think he has
all
it
good.
yet.
No, you're all good.
And you're weak to wind. I was like, wait, did I miss something?
No, you're all fine,
gosh,
friendo.
so funny.
But after that fight, you should it will be the area where you learn it, because both Sky Armors, and I believe coming up because we're going to fight a big Sky Armor as well. They're all weak to wind, and so Bathraz is going to be a big damage dealer for us coming into that. And because he can do a lot of damage quickly, he doesn't need to charge up. Between himself and Sienna, the DPS output is absurd. We're also introduced to the princess that we're trying to save. This lovely blue-haired lass and her pet doggo, Amalia, and the pet dog, Krez, are going to be joining our party very soon. Amalia is going to be a healer, not that we will really use her at all. She'll be just sort of trucking along, helping us out, adding to the lore. She becomes very important in sort of the start of Act 3. So it's very cool to see. Good fight.
Yeah, those are always touchy too. You see the life totals go way down. You just kind of have to bear with it.
Yep. When I was first running this game and routing it in Farnsport, I used to collect some armor for Victor, and then I'd swap the armor over to Sienna and use her in this section. It was very cool. Waste of time. You don't need to do it, but it was very cool to do.
You have to be comfortable with those low life totals.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there have been times where I've definitely finished the fight with Rob on single digits.
Exactly.
So.
And I've wiped before too. It's low percentage. Yeah.
But any number is above 0. So really.
That's right.
So we're going to open up all these levers, and this is going to let us open up the gates enough so that we can get through with our sky armor. And we're also going to, after this fight, we're going to do a little bit of sneaky sneak. You know, these big sky armors are looking for other sky armors, and what they're not looking for is just regular people. So we're going to try and sneak by. There you go. You would have seen Windshot in action doing just under 4k, which is a lot of damage. So Hornet Dance there from Glenn. You'll see it's another attack that does multiple hits. That becomes extremely important for a boss later on. And I keep saying this, but it will all become very important. Is knowing like how many hits something does to take off certain debuffs. So here we are. We're going to sneak on by. Perfect. Love to see it. I'm going to pick up some extra stuff here, and a weapon for Sienna and a weapon for Rob. And that's going to be a pretty decent increase in damage. And then we're going to come up here for what is potentially the last sketchy fight. And then we get into what will probably be the end of Ferric's run here.
Everything going well in the Oasis, I hope.
It's going fine.
Fine.
Fine,
So
yes.
fun.
Oh,
Very
no,
nice.
I
I
see
just
what you
got that. That was very good. Okay, Rob's in trouble. Okay, we're okay. See, 16 health is just like nerve-wracking.
Nah, we're fine. We're all good. I wouldn't even worry about
We're
it.
all good.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Everything is fine.
Is just fine.
All right, so here we're going to see Barthrise and Victor have a chat. We're going to skip through all the text, but it becomes alluded to that they know something. They know something is up, and we will hopefully learn it soon as well.
Yep.
Going to pick up some armor here, the Gemstone Jerkin, and then we're going to do some nice equipping here, get ourselves set up for what used to be one of the big run killers, but is now less of a run killer and more just an annoyance.
This guy is like the bane of my existence, so I
Oh,
hope it goes
yeah,
well.
okay, that's fair.
He's top, yeah. So let me focus here, make sure I get everything. I think that I did that all correctly.
Definitely leveling up Power Pierce is good.
Yeah, I level up Power Pierce.
I was just sweating though because it's like, wait, I went down too far, didn't I?
No, you didn't. You have
No,
to
you're good.
sneak. You
Yep.
have to sneak.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm a little distracted because Chockler's just like, yeah, this guy's not a problem anymore. It's like Matthias just like a run killer for me. He is so
No, that's
difficult for
honestly
me.
completely fair. He does get real sketchy, and we'll explain it as we get into the fight. But
Super sketchy.
yeah, it can get really sketchy with sort of the way that Barthraz gets built in my route. It's sort of if attack gets removed, it's magic, and then if magic removed, it's attack. So it's pretty alright. So we're introduced to Matai here. Matai in big tank form. As I said, we're going to fight one big sky armor here, and this is it. So we're going to be introduced here to a mechanic of like the classic JRPG charging up for a big attack. Once we get Matai to a specific damage threshold, he's going to start charging up a big attack. That's going to be fantastic for us because that gives us essentially 3 turns of just dealing a decent chunk of damage. And if all goes well, we will never see it.
Yep. He did one twice.
Unfortunate.
Worst Hornet's dance ever, yeah.
Hornet Dance RNG is a real thing.
It's a real thing.
Good fight.
All
Here we
right.
go.
Here comes the main event.
luck.
Good luck, Ferric. You got
Thank
this.
you.
Easy, friend.
All right, about halfway there.
Mm-hmm.
So he has done some pretty nasty stuff, but you're still hanging in there. I think you're in good shape.
Mm-hmm. This is looking really good, friend.
Got this.
What an incredible fight.
Nice
There we
job.
go. Okay.
Easy every time. You didn't get anything removed. Sorry. Ferric
That was
killed that
definitely
fight.
not.
Absolutely,
That was not too bad. So I
that
will admit
nails it.
It gets much
Yeah.
worse than that. So.
And we're gonna get ready to
So-
swap here. So
Yeah.
maybe Chuckler, if you want to talk about what can happen in that fight while we're swapping, it'll give some
absolutely
context.
do.
But thank you for the encouragement. I appreciate it.
No, you
All
killed
right,
it, friendo.
swapping
So,
out, yeah.
sorry, Forgotten Matai. Has this one thing that he will do where all your moves get sort of split into certain categories of physical attack, magic, debuffs,
God.
buffs, and items. And so what Matai can do is Matai can at any point during the fight, typically from the second turn onwards, will remove an ability. So if physical attack goes away, that means that Rob, who is typically the powerhouse, loses all damage. That becomes extremely relevant, especially when Matai is attacking twice. You're trying to sort of push through damage. That's when the overdrive bar starts to become really sketchy.
Yep,
Is
exactly.
because if you get into red with Matai, and
It's
he's
over.
attacking twice, he's doing Fists of Nova, which is the AoE attack that you saw. If he's doing that constantly, that's almost 120, 150 damage a turn that he's doing. And at that point, we don't have that much health.
Yeah, and
if
that's basically like the most trolly Matthias,
Yep.
just Fists of Nova over and over, and then just he'll snap and like stop physical attacks or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he did
So
basically Fists of Nova you every single turn except for
He
once,
didn't do it over and over and over.
When he
He
punched
punched Rob or Bathraz
which was
once,
also not
and that
great.
was enough. Like, that was enough to kind of make it
Yep.
through. So.
Yep, absolutely. And so as you can see, like it is a run killer because if you die there, it is like you don't have to restart the entire Matai section. You have to redo the fight, but like the thing is, it can just happen again, and it can happen again.
Yep.
You
It's
have
very
zero
discouraging.
control over it. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, I've gone through many iterations of that fight trying to figure out how I wanted to optimize it best, and I think what I have right now is probably very consistent. It might not be the fastest. So.
Mine is I start off with a Glen ultra move. So we haven't actually spoken about what Glen's ultra move is. So what Glen will do is you've seen Ferric and you'll see Moon continue through the run. Use Glen's Armor Break. And what that does is that means that Armor Break, the skill itself, makes you deal 15% more damage to that target. What Glen's Ultra move will do is it makes it deal 25% extra damage. Oh, Victor on 1 health. Let's go.
Victor can go down. It'll be okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Victor's done it before.
Yeah.
But that's foreshadowing. So what Glen's Ultra move will do is not only will it make it so that they take extra damage, but it will mean that they deal less damage. So they deal 25% less damage.
Yep.
And so the way that I've made this fight extremely safe is you essentially Glen Ultra move, you set up Bathrise with Berserker like yourself did, and then you do Bathrise with Dark Spear, and that deals about 600 to a K damage, and then you've got Rob using Power Pierce, which is doing 2K.
Yep,
So like
that sounds fantastic too. Yeah.
Yeah. So if attack goes down, you rely on your Dark Spear. If your magic goes down, you rely on Rob.
So you kind of lose Bathraz's Ultra, but Dark Spear is dealing,
Yes.
800 to 900 anyway, because he's weak
Yep.
to Dark. So yeah,
Absolutely,
there you go.
and also it means that Fists of Nova are only doing 30 damage a hit.
Yeah,
So-
that's a big difference. Yeah, I use the Berserker to kind of protect against that a little bit. But
Yeah,
the one
yeah.
other thing I would say about Glen's Ultra too, which we have shown off a little bit, but it's also an AoE. The Armor Break will just hit the one character, and then Glen's Ultra is particularly useful in fights where you have multiple monsters because it will basically, debuff all of them. So
Good luck on this boss fight, by the way, Moon.
yeah,
Oh,
gosh,
that's a
look at all
fun
those
little fight.
eyes.
This guy has really bad allergies.
Whoa!
88k damage, one hit
Just
kill.
keep doing that, yeah.
Can I go back to
It's a shame they only give us one of those items because we could use
I
it
know,
to beat
right?
the boss.
Just use that on everything.
You can
Mm-hmm.
you can get more of those later after you finish a certain side quest, but unfortunately they're only good on those monsters.
So we're
Yeah.
picking up a critical item here in this red chest. Red chests are wonderful in these types of games. This red chest has what's called an earth belt. An earth belt we're going to put on Rob because that will allow him to deal extra damage to enemies that have the debuff heavy on them. And as it so has it, Bethraz has an ability called Draw Iron that you can use for a total of 2 turns that will put the debuff of heavy. So when you combine that with Victor's Basso Profundo, which also makes them wet, it's double debuffs, 4x damage that Rob will be doing. So he is our powerhouse moving forward.
And you'll see the damage like dramatically increase because if you're paying attention to the menuing earlier, you'll see that Rob also has Human Killer on, which means that he's dealing extra damage to human targets. And the first fight we get into with this full team here is we're going to be fighting some human targets in Tormund, and you'll see the damage is
Very
immense,
satisfying.
especially as an AOE.
It's not 88,000, but when you add it together, it's getting up there.
Oh,
So
it's not far from it.
yeah.
Yeah. There's a couple points in the run from here on out where it's like you can't quite keep up with the hit point totals that the enemies have, but this part is not going to be one of them. We are going to definitely overpower stuff for a while.
We get sort of 3 parts where our damage will spike up. The first part is getting the charged water attack, which was early on in the game. The second part is now when we get the Earth Belt. The third part is when we inevitably get one of our feathered friends as a companion, and we can swap out Victor from using Basso Profundo to using Poetic March, which is the general AOE increased damage on our side. And so it becomes that's like sort of the third peak of the mountain that we're climbing for this intense DPS that we're doing.
Yeah, it's essentially, building a 4-character party with 3 support characters for 1 character that deals massive amounts of damage.
Yeah. I would love to see what happens, like, say, if we used Glenn with Power Swing or something like that, if they ended up having, like, the charge move. Because Rob's inherent base attack stat is very low.
Yeah, true.
Okay, so
It had to
we're
be
going to skip
Rob.
what is...
It had to be Rob.
It had to be Rob, I know.
Rob is like the most obnoxious character.
It had to be Rob.
Had to be Rob. Okay.
The piece of blank paper of a character, unfortunately. So what we did there is skip what is potentially the most important cutscene in the game, or one of them. If you want to give me a second, I'm happy to explain it.
Go for it.
So the world is sort of broken down into 7 true kings of each thing's essentially looking after and creating parts of the world. And it's sort of broken down, it sort of gets explained through these specific images. So the first thing is Meteora's Arbo, which is the ape. The one who creates all the mountains, creates all the landmarks. We then go down to the boar Grandilar, who's the one who creates all the caverns and all the canyons and moves and shapes the earth. We then have Asnadiel, who we'll see later on, who is the ruler of the underground city that we just sort of opened up, that we skipped the cutscene for, Nissa. We have the parrot Ruhan, who is the sun in the sky, only to be with the companion of Luna Obitnaz, I believe I pronounced it right, who is the owl in the sky, who we also skipped the cutscene for when we're talking to Killian and Tormund. So we have the sun and the moon there. We have the Kraken Wylord, who is the one who creates the tides, and sort of makes the the underworld, undersea sort of area. And then we have the last true king, which is the Rat Swarm, who is also called the Black Plague. And you will see later on just like hordes and hordes of rats. But they're also needed to be able to spread around the world. And that's sort of like the basis of what the world is based on, are these true kings. They'll become relevant later on as dynamics tend to change.
But for now, I'm in an injured mind, which is kind of, again, it's a small puzzle, and then later on in the run, we're going to have a big puzzle that is kind of similar to this one. So it's, again, sort of like the scaffolding that this game does with some of its environmental puzzle sequences,
Yeah, it's a
which I really
good
like.
descriptor, an environmental puzzle. So basically what he's doing right now is you run around, you touchy the orb, you don't pushy the orb, you touchy the orb. You collect 3 different types of items. There's a cliff, a house, and a bridge. They have different shapes. And then wherever there's an orb, you can drop one of those items to drop the shape. And then that will connect these different islands that are sort of disconnected, eventually making a pathway so that you can get out of this mind. And this is the first one of these. There's another one of these a little bit later, and when Blaze and I were kind of discussing splitting up the run, that second one makes my brain hurt, even though I've done it many times. So I said, I'll just take the first half. And he was very gracious.
When I first got that first try, I was like, I can never not do this again. I was
I
like, because if I lose any time in a run, it's because of that.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. It's just like I know how to do this, but it's so complicated. So yeah. So we've escaped the mind, and there were some chests in there, but we didn't really need to grab anything. So
yeah, I would say Ferric got like the high octane part of the run, and I get the part of the run that is like
Rob owns
half cutscenes, half puzzles, and Rob just like owning everything.
But you get the final boss gauntlet, which is really
I was gonna
cool.
say the final like essentially all of Nissa is my favorite part of the game.
That's really fun.
Oh, yeah.
And you do get the this is a 3.5-hour run, and we have to do like a difficult boss gauntlet at the end, which is actually very fun. So because it feels high stakes when you've been playing the game for so long.
My stomach still sinks when the music plays as you're going through the area right before the boss gauntlet.
Isn't that the truth? Yeah, because you're like,
my stomach just sinks.
You're like, I'm so deep in this run. I really, really hope this goes well.
No,
and then he does
I've
like
died
barrier
too
shit.
many times I've died too many times to trying to do the last boss
Exactly.
strat. And I'm just like, is this the time? Like, because it's right at the end. You're like, every time you do it, it's an extra 3 minutes, and you're like, I guess we're doing it again. All right.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll see how it goes.
It's
tonight.
cool. Honestly, from what I saw from the run earlier in the week, you've got an incredible backup strategy, so I would not be too concerned.
Yeah.
We're actually cruising right along to the end of Act 2 here, honestly, as well, because Act 1 is by far the longest because it's the one where you have it's much more linear. The rest of the acts have all of the side content, but if you just kind of stick to the main story beats, you can kind of progress through what is required of you pretty quickly. So
I think I will take just a moment and throw it back to Wolf Shadow, our host, for donations or announcements.
All right, we unfortunately still don't have any donations, and the incentives haven't really moved anywhere yet either.
Would you be willing to do an announcement on the Fastest Furs FWA?
Goodness.
I don't know. I'm getting a little tired of this green. I think we can do a little bit better than the green.
I personally want to see purple.
I went the wrong way.
Yep.
Personally,
Sorry,
I
Squishy.
want to see
Go
purple.
over and up.
You're okay. Yep.
Let's see.
This area is also a maze that all kind of looks the same.
Oh yeah. Whoa.
So while she's looking for that, the Baki are a new monster type that we haven't seen yet. They're very interesting, and when I was learning this run, I found them to be very difficult because they do this thing called counter stance. Counter stance, if you attack them, they will attack your entire party back. It's a very slow animation, and it can do a lot of damage. So you have to be careful. If you're going to attack them directly, you need to make sure you're going to kill them. Or you can do an AoE and still hit them and deal damage, but they will not activate their counter stance if you do the AoE.
And that's sort of one of the big things that we push for in the Sky Armor fights coming up is Sienna's going to be able to have a chance to do multi-attack, and that's going to, like...
And energy
we should be
flow, I think, yeah.
Yep. And so that's going to make it so that the preceding fights are going to be much, much easier, even if counter stance is activated.
Exactly.
Yep. And this fight is a complete troll, and I can't do anything for at least like a minute, so Wolf Shadow, if you got anything for us.
Let me check real quick. See if we got anything new. I don't see anything.
That's okay.
Oh goodness. All right, but anyway, back to FWA.
Yeah.
So again, Team Fastest First wants you to know that all the revenue from Twitch subscriptions and the cheered bits received during this year's weekend event will support our events now and into the future, including our upcoming Fastest First Live at FWA 2024, which will be returning to Free Weekend Atlanta next year. Please consider subscribing now to get our Fastest First emotes featuring the always adorable PB the Cheetah, and don't forget to check and see if you have your free Twitch Prime Gaming sub available too.
Yeah, thanks so much for that. I was at the FWA event this past year, and it's a fantastic live event, super fun. So just want people to be aware of that. So here's going to be the first battle against a bunch of humans that Strong was talking about. Now that we have the Earth Belt and water attack, they're in for a lot of trouble. This is not going to be like the ones that we were fighting in the Fire and Oasis. This is going to be a slaughter.
I'll be honest, I don't even need Glenn anymore, so I just set him to defend.
Yeah, Glenn's just along for the ride now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're for moral support.
There we go.
There we go.
That's nice. Always feels good.
It's also like nice to see because we've got numbers in our heads, and that's sort of a good thing of being like, okay, I've done my menuing correctly.
Exactly. Yeah, there's definitely
Yeah.
times that you can get to that. If it doesn't look right, you need to go in and just fix things. But
Yeah.
Yeah, what did I miss? Or there's sometimes you can forget to equip like the passive abilities, for example, and that would be an example of where you would potentially notice that. So, all right, we got one more Sky Armor fight, and then the final boss of Act 2 coming up here.
So, I want to see something. Yay!
Yeah,
nice.
there it
So,
is.
the SP route is done very specifically to give Sienna multi-shot for this fight in particular, because you saw us fight 3 Barkies. That wasn't too bad. 4 Barkies is considerably worse, because if they go into counter stance, they'll all typically go into counter stance around about the same time. It means that you're wasting turns
Yep.
where you could be doing stuff, as you'll see here, right? Everyone's going into counter stance. Whereas Sienna with her multi-target, they like the amount of damage that we'll be dealing should take them out in one go.
perfect. Nice job.
Thank you.
Well done.
Even Ibaki can't handle 8,000 damage to the head. So now we've got another boss fight here. This is very German. The developer of this game is a German. This is Sturm and Drang, which means storm and stress. Relatively straightforward. There's probably ways to optimize this fight to probably 3 turns, but 4 turns is a very safe go.
Well, Rob did go
4
first, so that's kind of interesting.
Ooh, that is good.
I can't
it's
one
essentially
both of
always 4
these
turns.
together, but I can take them out one at a time. So at least that's the hope here. I believe they both have about 3,000 hit points.
That's right, yep. First one's down. Very nice.
And so you'll see that Moon is reusing Basso Profondo and Draw Iron, even though it was still on Drang there. And that's because if they didn't use them again, it would have run out. And so it's just easier to reuse it to make sure that they know it's going to stay for an extra 2 turns.
Yep. And I don't know if it was explicitly stated before, because again, I was really focused on the early stuff, but this run is turbo button enabled. So like Stronk was saying, the way that the combat menuing works is it will set your cursor where it was previously, and then you can just use the turbo button just to cursor through everything extremely fast. So you don't have to actually enter those inputs. So if Bathraz is doing draw iron and all you want to do is draw iron, you can just turbo through that and it will go extremely fast.
Yeah, turbo polite runs are very good on my wrists.
Absolutely, yeah, same, exactly.
All right, so what am I doing here now?
So this is one of my favorite parts of the game. This is Pushy the Orb.
This is one of your favorite parts of the game. We have to have
It's
a
not.
chat
I
later,
just like saying Pushy the Orb. You know, it's definitely not my favorite part of the game because there's a small girl pushing orbs in what kind of looks like a prison. Like I don't know the lore there, but it seems a little creepy.
Oh,
But
listen,
yeah,
the lore isn't much better, honestly.
okay, fair enough. I assumed as much, but but yeah, the ore puzzles, you will be seeing more of those. They get, as you can imagine, increasingly complex. But it's a neat little mini game, and most good JRPGs have fun mini games in them.
I will say we're gonna get to some of the harder ones in Act 3 here. The first time you figure those out, you feel like so smart.
It's true.
It is really cool.
Yeah.
It's
I
also
definitely
really
have,
fun. Go ahead.
Oh, go on.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's also really fun when you're pushing the orb into the golden square to finish the puzzle. If you yell "goal" really loudly, it's like you're
That
a
works,
soccer
yeah.
announcer, so.
Anything to get through it, right?
Yeah.
I definitely like whenever I do runs, I still have a page of notes, and it's essentially it's boiled down to like the last party, and it's like what the first move in each orb puzzle
There
is.
you go.
That's
You
essentially
have to have
what
the
it's come
orbits
down
in
to.
there. Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I have notes for all of them, and there are a couple where it's like I've got them memorized just because the original pattern
Yeah.
works for my brain, and then there's other ones where it's like I am scrambling to make sure that my notes are in the right spot. So
But you have to be careful because there is a reset button, which is a blue tile, and if you're going really fast, sometimes you don't pay attention and accidentally run over the blue tile. And
yeah,
then,
there's also
and then you
that
just
part,
lost
too.
like 15 seconds right there.
Oh
so.
yeah, that is absolutely not okay.
That's such a killer. So what we have now is Blaze is heading to the flying island continent of Shambhala or Shambhala, depending on how you want to describe it. He's going to be meeting a new character there that we will add to our party, and again, working his way through this area. Basically, there's a research facility that he's trying to infiltrate, where Godfrey from the first act is now in this research facility. Takes sky armor to get there, but there's ether cannons that are equipped to shoot down sky armor. So what we need to do is we have to sever some chains to free up some islands, and then we have to disable a couple of these ether cannons by flipping some switches.
This is by far in most of the runs because we're about 2 hours in now. So this is by far the start of the run where like my mind starts to go a bit fuzzy. These like next 2 or 3 areas tend to blur together. And it's not for any particular reason on its own, but it's because it's not very combat heavy. It's mostly all puzzles.
It is. It's very
and
puzzly, yeah.
Yeah, and because it's also sort of like the very like sort of similar color palette. So nothing against the areas, but that's sort of where like you start to get run fatigue.
Yeah, and in this particular area too, you do have these. You're kind of just floating around on the islands, so it's easy to kind of zone out and sort of lose focus. And I've definitely encountered that as well.
It's like missing
I've
your
definitely
bus stop.
Yeah, I've definitely blurred for a second, gone, oh, I need to get off at this platform, and got off on the platform and it's the wrong platform. And
Yeah,
like, oh, well,
or just
now I gotta wait.
missed platforms before on accident. So,
Yeah,
so this is
absolutely.
what you're seeing here. This little owl creature that Amalia says is very cute.
It's really an owl. How cute!
Really an owl. How cute. Is Eggle. Eggle's going to be added to our party after he puts up a bit of a fight. Again, he can be a little bit trolly. He's got an ability called Defend that will make things problematic for us, but other than that, usually a pretty straightforward boss fight here.
If you don't deal enough damage up front, he will start to heal himself for 2k a turn, and that starts to get a bit sketchy as well.
The first aid is the problematic part that couples with Defend because it gets him into that phase.
May I pop in?
Absolutely.
Okay. So we did get a donation for the sky armor color. So Alu Bursto donated $25.69 with a comment of, I got you, let's swap it over to my preferred color, red.
Hey, red.
And
Nice.
red is now in the lead by a whole whopping 69 cents.
We
Very
can do that.
Let's
Absolutely.
go.
So next time we hop in the sky armor, we will swap over to red. We've got a couple points in the game when we do that, so I'll let Blaze kind
As
of
long as it doesn't change by then. It's probably about maybe 10 minutes or so away when we'll be changing the sky armor color.
That's true.
We'll see.
Also good eagle fight.
Yeah, very good eagle fight. Nice job.
Yeah, that went very nice.
So now we're heading to the Owl Village on Shambhala. There's some pretty intense menuing at the merchant here, so I'm going to let Blaze focus on that for a moment.
Hopefully I'll have enough money this time. Oh yeah, no problem.
So an interesting thing about this particular merchant buy is it does doing the merchant buys gets you particular items off of the reward board that you need. I think it's Monster Fangs. I can't remember exactly.
Yep.
And it also gets you a lot of money. So if you run out of money, you can always just go back to the merchant and buy additional items, or you can use that money to upgrade things, and we'll be upgrading here.
Yeah.
I typically do a lot of my end game buying here, so I don't have to do another merchant, but there's different ways of doing this. So
Yep.
My trick for the end game is to just pile on money and then right at the end just buy a bunch of armor, optimize and run.
Oh,
So
sure. So
that's
you use the merchant at the end.
Yeah. I'll essentially just sell everything off because there's a couple of really good hidden amounts of money. And I'll just find those. Because by the end, by the time I get to the last merchant, I've got like 50k.
You just have more than enough money. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I don't even need to think about it because obviously we've got the two big armors on the two main guys.
Yep.
And then and then I just buy 2 of the rest of the armors and optimize and off I go.
Yeah, I don't even buy those armors. I just buy a bunch of meals and chuck meals at people, and that seems to work.
I used to just do that, but now I've started using Amalia in the last section, and so to give her enough.
Wow! Does she have enough? She has enough agility. Like I've tried to use her, and she cost me a turn, and then she died. So
she's actually okay because she swaps out with Victor. So Victor has all the agility to begin with.
Okay.
So that's sort of the main area.
Interesting. I think I tried her once and it didn't work, so I was kind of off her. But
it gets real sketchy if she's not leveled up at all. So
she wasn't. That was the thing. She wasn't leveled. Like it was an accident.
Yeah.
So yeah. But I guess if you level her up, then she has enough agility. So.
Yeah, because I level up heal all. To essentially like swap out with Victor and then for the final boss fight. Yeah.
Very cool. I like it. So yeah, I like Amalia. So anyway, we've got an interesting turtle fight here. This turtle puts all sorts of protections on him using a shell ability, but we just swap in Lenny. Lenny has a cleanse ability that removes all buffs that a monster has on it. So
that I only just realized works on that fight. I used to get dispel and put dispel on Butler.
Oh really? Oh my gosh, yeah. Cleanse works great. Or a lot of times Rob can just deal enough damage too, depending if your turn order isn't favorable for Lenny. But the easiest way to do it is excuse me, just cleanse, and then he's just a kitten. You kind of just take him out.
Yeah, it's really fun.
So here's
it's also nice to see the first time that we get a full party of like everyone's skilled. So now we can use Eagle to dry by using Wind Gust, which means that frees up Victor to use Poetic March, and then you've still got Draw Iron, which is your heavy, and then also you've got the big damage from Rob. So now you're starting to see like this nice sort of flow between the characters. That and also Eagle has an inherent ability called Cover Ally. So if we start to get into sketchy situations, if one of the other team members are on low health, Eagle will cover them, assuming that he also has enough health, which is really nice because Eagle has really high armor, a really good piece of armor as well equipped. So like sort of sets us up for coming into the next part of the run for just a really good safety.
Yeah, I would say the best way to think about Eagle from an RPG standpoint, he's basically a paladin, and then he has some built-in abilities that work favorably with Rob, so he's a very good party member. Yeah,
absolutely. That he also uses a gun spear.
Yeah, right. Isn't that cool? You have to load it and then shoot it.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Not great for a speed run, but
no.
So that was our first chain that we had to break. We have to break a total of 2 chains and shut down a total of 2 cannons. We'll see a couple more turtles up here, execute some good movement. We will not hit their hitboxes, and we'll be able to just work our way around them.
The main reason why we can't just fly over there, even though Eagle is a bird, is because Eagle can't fly.
Yeah, Eagle can't fly. As we saw when he kind of face planted right at the beginning.
He's trying his best, okay?
Yeah,
absolutely. It's the same. Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't put it against him, but just as a fact, cannot fly.
Cannot fly. But when it comes to cuteness factor, he's one of the best. So
yes,
it's really an owl. So
he's really an owl. Exactly. I know that much lore about the game.
Got any bird fans in the chat? I'm sure we do.
Owl fans.
Some feathered friends. Oh man. So this puzzle kind of gets broken up into segments. We just did segment 1. There's going to be a couple more here. And in between, we just have to kind of fly around on these platforms, and we can't really do anything other than wait, so.
You'll like toucans? You like toucans with big fists? Well, I have something for you. Look at those fists. Do we get to see the? Oh, we didn't get to see the boomerang, unfortunately. So
That's
they can also take off.
That's a very Aussie thing.
It is very much so. We've got platypuses and we got boomerangs. We're all represented.
Aussie inspired, yes.
Absolutely.
Oh, I got on there.
Oh, how did you do that? Like, I don't think I've ever done that.
That was clutch.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's so good when you do that.
Yeah, I've done it a couple of times now. It's
You've done it
with good
too?
movement.
Okay.
With good movement coming off the first platform, if the fight only takes the recommended number of turns, then you'll get it every time.
Yep.
Yeah, we get it every time.
Always feels good.
I just
it looks sick as well.
It does. It looks amazing.
Yeah, looks like you planned it, which I assume you did.
Yeah, I assume you did.
Yeah. All of these platforms are kind of on a global timer from when you load into the screens.
Right.
I think is basically what we've been able to figure out. And there's one that it'll show it flying right past you when you load onto the screen, and it's just a total troll. But the other ones, if you do well enough with your combat and your movement, you can get them on the cycle. So that's what we want to do.
No boomerangs. It's all right.
Oh, Sky Monkey, what did you just do? Gross.
Did an attack that we cannot
Gross.
stream.
This is a family-friendly stream.
I mean,
we say we just got a reward for killing 7 toucans. Yeah, family friendly. I take it. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, that's the other chain right there, releasing another piece, and then we just have one more switch to flip, and then we can go take out Godfrey's research station.
So the reason we need to do these platforms is a big rigmarole to be able to turn off some other switches, which is a big rigmarole that's stopping us from using our sky armor, essentially.
Exactly.
So with the other cannons present, they'll just shoot down the sky armor. So we need to do these on foot.
Look, if they didn't have sky armor, it's literally a series of flying islands. We would just get into our sky armor and fly around.
Exactly.
So I understand.
This is actually some really early Chain Deco stuff. This was the first area I learned how to do out of bounds on.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because I died to that turtle and I loaded in the game in like the game over state, and I was able to fly around and do everything, but I couldn't figure out how to interact with anything.
Oh,
but I did figure out how to do out of bounds in Shambhala.
A lot of these areas later on in the game just have incredible vibes too. Like I just love the music here. I love like the background. You can kind of look down. There's just this beautiful like we'll say eagle's eye view.
I think that's
Eagle's eye view. Nice.
That's it would be too far to the west, but it looked like it was Farnsport down there. Honestly,
it might be. I mean, I don't think they're too worried about.
Knowing the creator of this game, I'm sure they probably actually figured it out. Honestly.
Okay, fair.
They're like, we'll release the game in 2021, but wait, the map from Shambhala does not look correct. We will be holding off on releasing the game until 2022, until we get all of the cities correct.
Yeah, until late 2022
exactly,
as well.
until late in the game. Okay.
Not saying that's what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually didn't. This game was a Kickstarter for many years. I actually didn't kickstart this game. I heard about this game on an RPG podcast that I really like to listen to called Axe of the Blood God, as well as I read an initial review on Destructoid, and I was basically sold.
Yeah, wasn't there for the Kickstarter, wasn't there actually like a physical book you could get?
I don't know, because I was not involved in the Kickstarter.
Yeah, I think there was actually a physical book that you could get if you did the Kickstarter.
That makes sense.
I can't say that for sure, but that's pretty cool.
Hey, Wolf Shadow, is Red still winning?
Yes, it is.
So this is where we can.
I better change
And
that.
I just said to the chat, but it's just hilarious that you mentioned Axe of the Blood God, because that's Nadia Oxford, and that's also known as Red Draco. Old Mega Man X fangirl. I know her from years ago.
Yeah.
All right. Nice. The
Nice.
red is very good for Flaming Hot Godfrey because we're going into an inferno here.
Yeah. If we have any Asuka Evangelion fans, this is supposed to be Asuka's Ava, I believe.
It's very sick. Big fan of it.
All right. I unfortunately did I should have slopped Glenn in here, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to one-cycle this, but I'm going to try. I believe in you, Rob. You just have to get me a crit.
If you charge again, you could swap out Eagle for Thingo again. if you want.
I'm going for it. Oh, he's so close. Okay.
So
well,
that
he's gonna die.
particular fight is not.
Yeah, he'll die
there's
next
no
time.
risk
No
here.
issue.
It's just you can either kill him in 1 cycle or 2 cycles. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
But the way that Glenn is significantly faster than Eagle, so most combats, if you start with Glenn in, Glenn will be able to get a turn to do armor break, and then you'll get another turn where you can swap him for Eagle to do the wind gust before Rob will do his whatever he's doing, whether it's a power charge or a power pierce.
That's the main thing I need to input into my route is putting Glenn first, because like I do it in Nissa, but besides Nissa I don't actually do it. So
it's not good all the time, but in specific areas it is good, because that basically any situation where the extra damage from armor break would make a difference, you absolutely want him going first. And it doesn't always work, but it works probably, I would say 80% of the time. He'll go twice before Rob goes twice, so...
I love how this is like. I love how this is like a marathon. So just for people that are watching, we're basically the top 3 runners right now. For the glitchless any percent. Stronk is the world champion. Blaze is number 2. I'm number 3. And I feel like this is kind of a marathon, but it's kind of a like, let's all just talk and sort of compare notes and sort of see what we're doing. Because this game is still kind of open in terms of routing, and it's just open in terms of like tactics, and that's part of the fun. Like, it's not completely like locked down yet. There's different things that you could try and do, and it's still very exciting and dynamic that way.
I was actually going to shout out Valiant Sid, who was the first one who actually got me into this game.
Yeah.
So I knocked my head pretty bad at work one day, so I had essentially Christmas off.
Okay.
And this game came out essentially around Christmas time, and he was like, "You would enjoy this game," and I was like, "Great." And so I played the dickens out of it, and I was like, I do enjoy this game. and eventually it went full circle because I inevitably got Sid to start running this game as well.
Because he's done a race with us, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, he's got a couple of runs under his belt.
That's great.
He's also just a very busy person.
Yeah.
But it's cool because he's same as you, Ferric. He's come in with fresh eyes, being like, "Well, why don't we just do this?
Why don't we try this?" Exactly.
Yeah. And so he was.
Wasn't a lot of the Rams his idea?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool.
He was the one. Yeah, he was the one who was like, "Well, the Ram's right here. We might as well use it." And then like, it turns out that with the extra agi up, it makes Maria so much like it's almost free.
Reminder,
right?
by the way.
How would help?
I gotta swap theirs now that Sienna's learned all her stuff.
So just getting like extra sets of fresh eyes, and then like now I mentioned them before, but Cat Buzz is starting to come back into the community to start doing stuff, and they've started being like, well, why do we just do this? This actually makes a lot of sense, and so it's nice to take a break and come back. Like I know that I did that. I know that I did that when I took a break and came back, and I was like, oh, why don't we just use Killian at the start? And so my strategies is using Killian with Warrior Charm, and it's like the floor is the same as Glenn, but the ceiling is so much higher because when he crits, he does like 600 damage.
Yeah, that ceiling is through the roof. Yeah.
And so, like, it's just cool to come back
with the Claymore plus. Yeah, that's
absolutely.
Really
and so, it's cool to come back and be like, oh, you know, this is how. Why didn't we do this? This makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's fun.
Oh, that was the wrong one.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, I think this is the first time that we've actually just like had a chance to be like, hey, we're just talking over someone doing a run. Actually,
which is just great. Because I've never had a chance to watch one of your runs. I mean, I want to, but it's like so just kind of talking. It's we sort of kind of compare notes. It's like, oh, he does this differently. I might want to try that.
Well, I mean, Moon has spoken to me about potentially doing a race later on next year, and we'll see how that pans out.
Absolutely, yeah.
I love that. Yep. It's just been fun. This is it's such a good game, and I really do hope that if people are watching and this seems like something they might be interested in, definitely pick the game up, play it casually. I think at most it's going to be like $25 on Steam or wherever you're going to go ahead and get it at. And then if you're interested in the glitchless run, I mean, actually the glitch run as well. The glitch run is very different than this. But if you want to do the glitchless run, I actually have I would call it a beginner guide at this point, because some of the there's a lot of safety strats that have kind of been routed out for like what Ferric and I do now, for example. But they will definitely get you through a run, and then from there you can start figuring out like what you want to take out and like how comfortable you are with it. And you know, that first run might be like 5 hours, and then 4.5, and then 4, and it just starts coming down as you get more comfortable.
Other direction. Yeah, I love how the safety strats are like, this saves 10 seconds. Get rid of it. We don't need that.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, I was like,
saves
is the
5
safety
seconds, dump it.
is the safety just getting cleric class? Because cleric class is 20 seconds. And it took me the longest time to be like, why would you just not? It's such a big safety.
Get rid of
and
it.
then,
Yeah, I'm not
exactly.
using
And
it
it's
that
like,
much.
oh,
Exactly.
okay, all right.
Safety, yeah.
Well, that's
I'll
that's
save
like
the 20 seconds, I guess.
we were talking about
never
Charm of the Learner, and it's like I couldn't
Yeah.
imagine not doing it without Charm of the Learner. And then like, well, actually, I have enough SP to do this, so that's fine.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think I was bugging you to take out Charm of the Learner for literally like a month.
You were bugging me a lot. And I was like, fine, I'll do
Listen,
it. So, yeah.
you will really have to try hard to convince me to take out Charm of the Learner. It's right there, and it helps so much. You kidding me?
Yeah.
Getting magic up 3 twice?
You'll
Oh,
see.
it's worth it.
Yep.
I am keen to see it. Honestly, I'm very keen. I am
We'll
invested.
get there.
So here we've got some more Pushy the Orb here,
Yep.
making good progress.
All right, and now we get to do some more Sky Armor stuff. So
So what we're going to do now is these big gray chests that you see. Anytime you see a big gray chest that's going to have a Sky Armor upgrade, and in this area, it's kind of like a flooded temple that you can't really access unless you're in the Sky Armor going up and down. There's actually multiple of these large gray chests that are going to give upgrades to our Sky Armors. The last one's a little tricky. There's some dragons by it, so you have to land and kind of move carefully to not pop the dragon, but then you can kind of just exit out of that area. So as we work our way further into the temple here, you'll be seeing more and more of these gray boxes, and it's basically just picking up. Every one of them is just going to be an upgrade to what we have right now. None of them is a downgrade.
It also just caught me way off guard. I forgot they were red. So I looked up and I was like, oh no! And I was like, oh no, everything's fine. It's okay.
yeah, we never ever changed the Sky Armor color.
Yeah, they look cool though. I do like the different colors.
They're very cool.
It's kind of fun.
Yep. It's like Hot Rod Sky Armor.
Yes, yeah, Hot Rod, exactly. Well, with the gold accent, yeah, it looks really cool. So just a little bit of menuing there to equip a lot of the Sky Armor upgrades that we got. And now we're fighting some gorillas.
So one of the first things that got banged out of my my running is the Sky Armor menus. You can just optimize them.
Most of them. I think there's one, at least one that you can't. That is the Kerberos.
There's that one there. Yep. And then there's one at the end where you swap out the combat drones. But besides that, every time you do it, you can actually just optimize, and it saves so much time over the run.
And that's what I do too. I kind of just optimize those as well. But yeah, there's at least 2. There's maybe 3 that I can think of. So we're fighting the gorillas now. We will be getting a pretty critical ability on Glenn's Sky Armor soon. That's called Enact Salvo. Enact Salvo is, in my opinion, extremely broken. It's not.
It is. It's really
it's not
broken.
just an initiative. It's not just an initiative break where it pushes the monster back. It literally enacts them. They lose their entire turn. So not only from like a damage dealing standpoint, but from a speedrun standpoint, that's a turn the monster's not going to attack you, and so it's going to go much faster when they have an act shot on them. And even more critically, we can abuse it on bosses. So bosses have all kinds of mean attacks, but if you enact salvo them, they don't get to do them as often.
Which is absurd. It's wild.
It's just so broken.
I will also let the for anyone who's casually playing this game, the big gorillas in this area, what they don't say is they're weak to darkness. So you can dark shock them and it deals extra damage. It's very cool.
Yep. Yeah, the fact that Enact Salvo works on bosses is absolutely like just the most broken thing.
So
in this game.
the trick with those like debuffs with bosses is you use it the first time and it works. If you use the same thing again, so say we used Enact, we use it the first time it works. The second time we use Enact in a row, it'll say resisted, and that's fine. But then the third time we use it, it works again. So 2 out of 3 turns, you'll actually be able to enact them, which is
and it's always
wild.
consistent. Yeah.
Yeah, absurd.
66% of the time, it works every time.
Exactly. So you're seeing some different abilities used here by the Sky Armors.
Ooh, you'll be fine. She'll be fine.
But
It's a 50-50,
primarily what
you'll be
we're
fine.
doing is we're trying to
you're
use
fine.
Sienna's energy shot to do multi-targeting on the monsters, and then basically some support from the other characters.
Yeah, Paralyze is a 50-50 of whether it actually does anything or not.
I lose that 50-50 a lot, it feels like.
Oh yeah, it's a coin flip. It's never great, but it's worth it just to like go through and see if you can.
Yeah, the apes as a basic monster aren't terrible, but they can do an attack that will paralyze your sky armors, and it is an AoE attack, and if it paralyzes Sienna, then that's going to really slow you down because, again, she's your primary damage dealer.
So what we didn't talk about is when we got Eagle, there was actually a pop-up that sort of explained how the aggro sort of worked in this game. It's called Hate.
Sure.
Hate, and okay. Yeah, and so whenever you use a move, it will add a number to your hate, and if your hate is high enough, it means that the enemy will attack you, or whoever it is. So Eagle has essentially a taunt, but you'll notice when you go further into the run that Sienna is getting targeted a lot more, and that's because she's using a lot more abilities that will add hate. And that's why when when you're in Nissa and you're fighting the sandworm and you're fighting the wyvern, that kind of stuff, they're attacking her a lot more.
Yep.
Because when you're setting up everything up, she's dealing a lot more damage. She's using the moves that are dealing more damage. And that means her hate's going up, and that's why she's targeted a lot more.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly
Yeah.
right. So we've
cool
got another
here.
boss here. This one's called Shaved Head. This one used to cause so much trouble, but
It was a big issue.
But now he does an ability where he can put kind of 5 shields on himself, but now with the enact shot and dealing enough damage, generally speaking, we can finish him off before he does that. He also has one other annoying ability. I'm not going to mention it because I don't want to get bad mojo on the run.
Yeah, please don't will it into existence.
Yeah, I don't want to get the bad mojo. So. But I will describe it after the combat. Everything's looking good so far.
Oh, easy every time.
Punchy,
friends.
punchy.
You've seen toucans with big hands. What about stone people with big hands?
Exactly.
Also, yeah, you did just see Sienna hit 20k. That's normal.
So he is
Just
done.
the end of
Good
things.
fight.
So
Easy
the
every
bad
time,
ability
friendo.
that Shaved Head can do, it's called Sand Blow. I think he only does it like maybe one time out of 20. But what it does is we talked about how the Sky Armors have different gears, gear 1, 2, and 0. You're setting your characters to gear 2 to deal the most damage. Sand Blow pushes everybody back to gear 0. So you just have to re-up everybody again, and it takes forever.
Never seen that move.
Sand Blow?
I did know it existed.
Oh, it's the worst.
It happened to me one
That
time in a
sounds
run when I was on
terrible.
PB pace, and let me tell you, I've not forgotten it since
Yep,
then.
that's what happens. You're trying to do these PB runs, and then you get something called Sand Blow, and you're like, never seen that one before.
No,
You know, 'cause it's just this rare
I've
beast.
never seen that. The only thing I ever see them do now is that stomping hand.
Yeah,
So
the stomping hand, it's fairly
even
common,
casually, I didn't see it.
Yeah. So if you
so
see it,
now-
you'll have to let us know.
Yeah, no, yeah, I will. I'll post.
You'll be like,
and
oh,
you guys did this.
everybody's in gear
Fair
0
fault.
now.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I blame the fastest furs for this.
Yes, exactly. Because then he does
so now
his
we're
shields
sort of
and everything too, and it takes forever. So, yeah.
So now we're in sort of the next sort of puzzle location with all these totems and everything. You would have seen them earlier. We're going to do a quick little puzzle coming up. That's going to give us at least one really good weapon if they want to pick up the second one as well.
We're not doing that, actually.
Okay, easy. So one really good weapon for Rob. And it's going to be the weapon that we're going to use for the rest of the game. Once we level it up, it'll be on par with essentially like the second best weapon in the game. Which is just faster. We can. There is a way for us to get the second best weapon, and it's not too much of a detour. It is still a detour, so it's just safe. It's just quicker to actually just do this, because with the increased damage we'll do for the next fights, it's absolutely worth getting it now. And it's called the Bolit's Bow, and essentially what we did in the Shambhala menu, and very specific things is killing enough toucans and that kind of stuff. Is we're gonna get exactly enough materials to be able to upgrade it twice. As well as,
Yeah,
we're gonna have to agree to disagree.
we skip the
'cause we
leads.
don't get
oh,
Yeah, we go all the way with
Oh.
Slingshot plus plus. So. So
hot
if you want
damn.
to cut 45 seconds out of your run, just don't get bullets.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Wyatt skip, no Beleats bow. It's all good.
You'll have to see
Listen,
what
I'm
you
telling
think.
you, 313's on the table now.
It's just good. It's just good stuff. You'll love it. Again, it's hard to get off it, but like once you're off it, you're like, oh yeah, this is going fine. So no worries.
All right, no, listen, you'll have to sell me on it. And like I said, I'm invested, but whoa.
And then from the chat, we've got Breagle saying the graphics in this game are kind of gorgeous. They really are. I absolutely love the graphics in this game. The sprites are so cool. The scenarios in the old 16-bit style, or however you want to describe it, are absolutely gorgeous.
I love these golems in this area. They're my favorite NPCs in the entire game. They are precious. And
Precious
they
golems,
no
yes.
Questions at this time.
Yeah, that one golem has you rescuing his bird friends. I mean, how precious is that?
The other one is rescuing just a regular, other friend as well, and it's
Oh,
wild.
nice.
It's very cute.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
They've all lost their friends.
But yeah, what
So
you're
if you
not
see,
seeing...
you see it in a second that they hold hands. It's very cute.
Yep.
But what you're not seeing, because Blaze is doing it so well, is this area is very maze-like. And when you're first starting to learn the game, it definitely takes some learning because there's upper levels, lower levels. You're going through tunnels that aren't really obvious, and you really do have to practice the routing. It does become kind of second nature, but this area took me a fair amount of time to get the routing correct because the tile set, looks fairly similar, and there's stairs and tunnels. It is challenging.
It's deliberately puzzly.
Yeah, it's deliberately challenging.
Yep. It's also very hard to do at 4 in the morning when you've been up for like 20 hours. But
Yeah, you're doing great.
Hey, you're doing fantastic.
Yeah.
Like I said, you still need to sell me on Slingshot, but you're doing great.
No, it's Slingshot plus plus. Don't use Slingshot. Has to be Slingshot.
Oh
plus.
yeah, sorry, but that's still like
It's enough.
I don't know. Like I said, I am so invested, but I am so keen to see how it turns out.
It is tough because I know what it means to be invested, and it's just like it's hard to get off stuff, but yeah, you just have to try it, and if it works, you're just like, okay, I guess I don't need this.
Yep,
So.
absolutely, fair enough.
Yeah, for me, it started with the cleric emblem, and then Charm of the Learner, and then Beleats bow. Just all the stuff kind of disappears. I'm like, guess I don't need that. So
There was a really early route that I worked on. Oh, that one's so clean as well.
Yeah.
There was a very early route that I worked on that got Rob's ultimate weapon, so you do the side quest to get the ultimate weapon.
Okay.
Yeah, it was, by the way, not worth it.
Not worth it. Yeah, it's a lot of time.
Yeah, it is. Like it's only, well, funny enough, it's only about 3 minutes. It's not actually that long to get. Because you can teleport back to the place, you go there, and there's like sort of a shortcut to actually get it. Yeah, like it's cool to do, but because you can't upgrade it, it's essentially on par with what the rainbow is, right? Like it was never actually worth it. Oh, Sienna, that's a harsh.
All right. So this is the Dark Sky Armor. We skipped a cutscene with him earlier.
So the Dark Sky Armor is a boss fight. He does an ability called Doom, which if your character has Doom active on it, if a turn passes without that character being brought up to full health, they will just auto die. So basically the first round of the Dark Sky Armor fight, we have to make sure that whoever has Doom is healed up, and then we can just use our kind of standard boss strats with Enact Shot, Sienna dealing damage to take it down pretty quickly.
Yep.
Funnily enough, if he dooms Glenn, I just leave it.
You just let him die.
Yep, absolutely. It's just faster to get the extra turn out because you get an extra turn with Barterage.
Not a bad idea. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Skip the turn.
It's a 1 in 4 chance that it's a quick fight. If it's 3 and 4, it's a regular fight.
No, I like it. That's a very good thought. So he does also have one very rare ability that's like a lightning attack that hits everybody and can cause paralyze, but that doesn't come up very often.
Very infrequently. Yeah. Good fight. Good fight.
Yeah, very nice fight.
That was really well done.
This is another cutscene, by the way, that you have to be holding the button as the victory fades off, or you will not be able to skip it. And then I held it too long, and now I have to watch this one. But that's
okay.
Me, so I did not respect the platypus.
Got it. Listen, you can't be telling me that. As an Australian, I don't know if I can forgive you.
This is how I learn all my lore, is like accidentally missing the cutscenes.
This is a bad one. This
one before.
This is a bad one to not skip as well. Oh, yeah, that's harsh.
It's a very long one.
Yeah. No, it wasn't that bad.
Thankfully, so there's a skip at the beginning of. So that was the end of Act 3, actually. So now we're coming up on the beginning of Act 4. There is a cutscene right here. That we used to not be able to skip, that we can actually skip now. So
sorry,
in part of this, but then I'll be able to skip the rest of it.
In the community race that we did, both Sid and I soft locked on this skip and had to restart the game, and then had to also like re-watch the cutscene because we couldn't skip the cutscene afterwards.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was not great, but it
So
happened to both
tough.
Sid and I at the same time.
So tough to stomach, yeah.
Yeah.
So right now, basically, we've got Amalia. Amalia's very cute. She's like our healer that we don't really use very much. But she just wants to cook a meal for all her friends. So we're just running around talking to our friends and seeing what sorts of things they would like for us to cook for them. And
Important context: Amalia has never cooked in her life.
Mm-hmm. She's a princess. She's never had to.
Yep.
I
Okay.
don't think Eggle wants eggs. I could be wrong.
Nice. No soft lock. Let's go.
Yep.
So that saves about 1:15.
Yeah,
Which
that's
is
a good
wild.
save.
It also saves the entire party getting like horrible food poisoning.
That and like that weird chomping sound that plays
Oh yeah, the sound effect.
does nothing for me.
Yeah, no
not a fan
thanks.
of it.
Put it on mute for that. So.
Yeah.
So now we're heading to the grave, very spooky place. Our party's going to get separated, and our characters of Amalia and Bethraz are going to be going through some things. Unfortunately, we cannot skip some of these cutscenes. They do depict violence, and there is some flashing in one of them. So if you're sensitive to either of those things, just be aware of that.
Yeah, and we might want to have the flashing light warning up for a little bit here that we have for the stream. So just a heads up.
So what we did is when we actually fought Matai all the way back at the beginning of Act 2, is the reason we had to fight Forgotten Matai is because we actually killed Matai in the sky armor. But Matai was visited by the Masked Man, who is this essentially intervener of fate, and gives like specific people a chance when they die to have a certain power at a price. So Matai, I forget what they gave up, but essentially got the strength of a god. And so coming up, there's a reason that
Sorry, I got the
Bathraz and
quick
Amalia.
I was very happy about that.
That's really good. Yeah, no re-raise, no regen, killed it.
So it's not exactly a devil's pact. It's more like if you die, then you can make a pact.
Correct.
Have
Yes,
power.
absolutely.
Okay.
But
It's like who
there
wouldn't,
is
first of all.
yeah.
That's
Oh,
like I can
absolutely,
either be
right.
dead or I can like make a pact. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna find out here what happens to Amalia. So Amalia was quite young when this happened. So it turns out someone is trying to kill the royal family.
Yeah. Clearly.
Turns out kills Amalia. Amalia is met by this very character that you'll see on the right hand side here in a second, and is gifted asks for the ability to be able to hurt her enemies. Is instead gifted with the ability to heal them. And so she now has the best healing powers like that anyone could possibly have at the cost of like later years in her life. So she's gonna die. She's gonna die quite young. Bathraz, on the other hand, when we get to it, we'll get to it, but has a much sadder story.
Yeah. I haven't even. I mean, just watching the cutscene, like that's the lore that I know. And it just looks tragic. So.
It's
Yeah,
pretty
it's
self-explanatory. I don't know how much detail we even really need
Yeah,
to
you
go
can kind of
into.
watch the cutscene. It just kind of shows what's going on. So, but he'll be fighting his doppelganger. Doppelganger again, another wonderful German phrase, just meaning his clone. We're gonna make short work of this fight using. Well, actually, I used to use the ultimate, but now I'm going to say there are other options here. You can.
Yeah,
berserk
I haven't
and
used the ultra move in a while. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can just berserk and light sword a couple times, and he's done. So.
Yep.
2 weeks ago, I'm so behind the times.
Hard to keep up.
All the new Chain Echoes tech.
Hard to keep up.
Every
with the
time
new-
I talk to somebody or watch something, somebody's doing something different.
But that's part of why it's been fun to do these co-op runs too. Is like it really gave us an easy.
It's a blast, yeah.
So, yeah.
Because it is hard to sit down and like watch 3.5 hours of somebody else's run. Like, none, I don't think any of us has done that.
Yeah, it's difficult. Honestly,
It
it's
is-
hard to find time.
Yeah, it's like I have the time to maybe play a little bit, or I can watch somebody play. I think I'll just play a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
This would probably be a good time for some announcements, Wolf Shadow, if you have anything for us.
Yeah, no problem. Now we don't have any donations or anything yet, so I guess announcements this. All right. We are thrilled to partner with Timberwolf Trading to bring our Fall Fest 2023 Marathon shirts to you. So use the command !merch in the chat to browse our new Fall Fest 2023 designs from Rotom, Flux, Autumn Wyvern, and Blue. $5 from each shirt will be donated to the Trans Lifeline. They will only be available until the end of the event, so don't miss out your chance to pick up one today. You can also check out the entire Timberwolf Trading store online at timberwolftrading.ca, where you can order your own custom stickers, shirts, laser engravings, and more from this furry-owned business. For furries, by furries.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, we're almost to the end of this cutscene here. Kind of gives me some Full Metal Alchemist vibes a little bit.
Very much so.
Of it. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood specifically. But we learn why Bathraz is like half lizard, half metal. He's kind of like fused with his son, and then he has these like living weapons. It's very like touching and interesting to me. It's also very sad. So
yeah, he sort of explains it as like he can't talk to his son through the limbs that he's got, but he always feels that he's there. It's gut wrenching.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But we're kind of big menu here.
We're powering up here before our next boss fight because you can hear the boss music in the background, and this is going to be a good JRPG trope. This is a wall. We are going to have a wall fight. We have a limited party right now because we don't have Bathraz or Amalia available, so we just have, I believe it's just 5 characters to work with. It might be 6.
6.
Yeah.
But again, this boss can do rude things. I'm not going to name them, but otherwise it's generally straightforward.
I'm in the big buy eye drops camp. I buy 3
I didn't
every
say
run.
what Chonkler. I didn't say what it was.
I didn't say what it was either. I'm just saying I buy eye drops. It could come up. It might not.
Yeah,
you know?
the eye drops because of the other mind fight where you can get blinded too. It's
Absolutely.
it's such a pain. And
Look, I just have something in my eye. Okay.
Yeah, I think that I think I'm on team eye drops. I'm probably gonna.
It's just
add
worth
eye
it. It
drops.
takes 2 seconds. You
I
buy
know,
it at
you're
the
literally right
Commons.
there. Just get some eye drops. So, yeah. And then you don't ever have to worry about being blinded. So
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah. I just haven't done a run since you mentioned that. I was like, I need to add that in.
It's well worth it.
So that wall
Nice,
took
good fight.
a beating. Very nice wall fight.
Yeah, pretty good fight. I personally like to use Len in that fight, but I think Ferric and I have some differences in our route that it just makes a little bit more sense. And then also like all the music plays at once for some reason. So
Yeah,
don't worry about
this
it.
section. So we were talking about being able to skip bosses. This was the first one that we were able to skip, and the way it sort of got patched into it, sort of fixed by the looks of it, is that it essentially you just can't skip the cutscene here anymore. But it looks like it's still a little bit sketchy on the back end, where the boss music plays, the cutscene plays, and the victory music plays.
There's a lot of
same
music
time.
going on at that time.
Yeah.
Very chaotic.
So now we're on
Speaking of music. I just have to
Go ahead.
quickly shout out.
Yeah.
This is my favorite music in the game.
Yeah, so now we're on Marley.
Really good.
Area.
Wonderful music. Once you kind of get to the main theme, it's absolutely beautiful. We're finding Lenny again. She's chilling on the edge of the Marley, which is also floating above the Landis, I believe it's called.
So for those keeping count at home, Len has been kidnapped 3 times.
Exactly.
And that will change in a moment.
Although I think technically I was corrected because I said 3 times, but I don't think she was kidnapped this time. I think she was just hanging out this time. But then I was told that she basically can't leave, so that sounds like kidnapped to me. Prisoner kidnapped, something not right.
Yeah, you skip the cutscene coming up, but I'll tell you when. Like when you get Lena back in the party, it sort of gets explained that it's a bit sketchy.
You can check out anytime you like, but you can't ever leave.
You can,
Welcome
you're
to the
not
Hotel
kidnapped. You just can't
yeah.
leave here.
Yeah, this is the Hotel California of Chained Echoes.
So now we're grabbing key cards to open up gates in this building. Getting our party set so that we can complete our combats with Rob the way that we want.
So this is sort of where I'm like, okay, this is the last part of the run, essentially. From here on out, it's like once we get past this boss and the next boss, it's just a boss gauntlet, and they're done in the next 15 minutes. So we start to get to the end part of the run.
Yep, and there's some fights in this area. They all pretty much should go the same way, so nothing to be particularly scared about. Except there's one particular attack that I could get, which would be not great. So hopefully that won't happen, and I won't have to talk about
Well,
it.
it's not great, and it has to go on Rob. If it doesn't go on Rob, we'll be okay.
The funniest thing about it is
linchpin of everything we are doing.
is if it doesn't go on Rob, when he uses power swing, he turns around the other way and faces the left.
Yeah,
instead.
it knocks it off. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great.
It's very cool. So coming up here will be the cutscene that I was just talking about. So, when we will inevitably get Lena back in a very quick second. Is it now?
I think it's in this cutscene, yeah.
Yeah, it's here. So we're gonna skip this cutscene. We
Critical
killed the
cutscene.
yeah, we killed the Pope, and then we steal Lena back essentially.
That's
this
the
game.
Yep, that's the Crib Notes version.
So there's two funny things. There's two funny things about that to me. So first of all, there's a Pope. The Pope is actually not like the person in charge, which I find funny. First of all, but like they make a point of calling him the Pope, and for a while I just had in my notes Pope eats it during this cutscene.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So Lena doesn't really get kidnapped, but the Pope's kind of like, we need you forever. Yeah, you can never actually leave because turns out actually this is sort of a good time to explain it. Lena is from this, I want to say like quote unquote goddess race essentially.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so that small girl who's pushing the orbs, that's Lena.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but for the same thing as Glenn, whenever they die, they did this ritual where their soul goes into the maelstrom, but instantly gets turned into someone else. So they have regenerative the properties. So
it's like
coming up,
reincarnation or like.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Essentially, just these guys in particular. So there's a certain ritual, and so Victor is actually someone who has been alive for, I think it's like 200 or 300 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and so he was Glenn's right-hand man when Glenn was in his first regeneration, essentially.
Yep.
And so that's why. So Victor was always able to find Glenn. In that cutscene I was talking about where Barthraz and Victor both sort of know something, but we don't, they have necklaces that are attached to the souls of both Lena and Glenn, and so they can always find them whenever they regenerate.
Cool. Okay, interesting. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what happened there.
That's very cool.
I hit too many yellow abilities, and I wasn't in the green.
You weren't
zone,
in the green.
so they just like didn't die.
Yeah, but you finished them before they attacked,
Yep.
so that was fine.
We'll back up there.
Oh, wouldn't have happened if you had Belit's bow, you know?
Hey now, that has never happened to me before.
I'm just telling you, you know? That's
You're not wrong. Poor Victor. So yeah, we basically went down the garbage chute now. There's a bunch of sort of normal citizens down here, so we're gonna go save all of them, and then we need to get off this thing because it is falling apart.
May I pop in, or
Of course.
Okay. So I'm not sure when we get the sky armors again, but we do have another bid for that.
Hey.
Yeah, I'll actually
Let's
be very
go.
soon. So tell us
Perfect.
the update.
All right, so we got a $27 donation from Jason LaRose, who wants the sky armor color to be purple now. And then question for the runner, couch, and the host. What's your favorite Pokemon?
Gengar. By a country mile, it's Gengar.
That's one of my best friends.
What's that?
Your favorite Pokemon, Ferric?
I'm not a Pokemon person, so I would sound first. I would be very first gen if I picked something. How about Eevee?
Yeah, Eevee's
Good, classic, honestly.
I'm a Totodile fan. Sarth has converted me to a Totodile fan.
Let's go. Love to see it.
So here we got another boss fight. We're gonna team up on this dynamic duo here of Eva and Raphael. Take them out one at a time. I do believe that Raphael is a playable character later in the game,
Yes.
if I'm not
Sure is.
mistaken. I don't think Eva is.
No,
No.
Eva isn't, but the quest to get Raphael is very adorable because it's Raphael and Arlette. It's very cute.
Ah, cool.
Yeah.
Arlette from Act 1.
Yes. Yeah, it's very, very cute. It's cool.
I unfortunately had to kind of do a little bit of a backup strat there because I was in the yellow again. So again, it's kind of that that quote unquote bad RNG, I guess, for this particular part of the run. I knew I wasn't going to be able to kill Ava, so I had to kind of do some...
So what happened with Ava? I missed that.
Oh, I prefer to kill Ava first because she likes to talk more. But Rob was going to do his big attack while I was in the yellow zone.
Okay.
And Ava has more hit points than Raphael, so I was not confident that I was going to be able to kill Ava. So.
Makes sense. Did she do the bear claws or whatever?
Oh, she didn't, thankfully.
Yeah.
She has this like super slow motion attack where she
hits
like,
everybody.
leaps in the air. And, yeah.
I've definitely died to that in a run. Alright, so now we're going to enter Glenn's mind.
Gosh.
Yeah.
It's so nice to be sitting on the couch for this one.
Have
fun.
The main reason that we're in Glenn's mind now is because Glenn discovered that he's also one of these sort of people from the goddess race, and is able to transfer. So when they find out, they obviously get all this information in their brain. Lena took it better than Glenn did, and so Glenn has passed out, and so I forget her name. Who's the witch? Magnolia. Thank you. Magnolia comes in and goes, "Hey, we have to go into Glenn's mind." And so this is what we're doing now. We're currently in Glenn's mind trying to repair it. Luckily, we did that earlier with Glenn, so we know what we're doing.
More or less.
Oh,
thank
you're lucky. You got one more chance for it.
We're not on team eye drops yet. We don't want anything bad.
I don't want to happen, but eye drop redemption. You know.
I'm gonna really focus on the puzzles here, so y'all can talk as much as you like.
Yeah, if we ever form a 3-person team, we're gonna have to call it Team Eye Drops.
I'm all for it, honestly.
That'll be the team name. Team Eye Drops.
3 people, 2 controllers. Is that how it works?
Oh my gosh, we'll make it
work. So this is sort of like the first part of the run that I had to like really study for, because it's very difficult to write notes for it because everything looks the same. Right? So like trying to write notes for like, okay, and then walk up here and then put the beach in and then take the beach out and put the dungeon in, and then like it became such a hassle. So this is the first one that I had to like sit down and just properly learn before like I could ever do it like consistently.
So are you playing? So Strong, do you play it from memory or do you use notes now?
Yeah, I play it from memory now.
Okay. See, I still use notes for it, but my notes are all color coded. So when I look over, I can see exactly like where I am in the notes, because it's such a long like sequence.
Yeah, it's kind of I kind of doubted myself there.
No, you're fine.
Oh,
it's difficult.
Absolutely, and that's just one of the things that can happen is like for me is I'll always remember that, okay, when I put the dungeon down second, I don't move it because you're going across and you grab the ship and then you put the ship in and then you come back.
There's all the backtracking. You have to remember all the backtracking.
Yeah, and I remember that if I put the dungeon down and I don't move it in this spot, everything sort of falls into place.
Sure, very good.
But Rob is kindly letting us know that we need to get all 3 pieces back. How are we going to proceed?
Thank you, Rob.
And so now we need to backtrack and get all the pieces back. So
now we're kind of in the second half of this sequence here,
and we get to see how slim Eagle's big booty really is, because we're going to bypass some creatures in a second by hugging the wall as tightly as possible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, another very tight movement spot to avoid an encounter.
The clap of his cheeks won't be learning no guards anytime soon. So.
All right, that was the hardest part right there.
Yep, absolutely. We're free and clear now.
I've got to sneak around. Yeah. A lot of everything else is much more visual from this point on.
The way Mutt said, those are noses. Yes, in fact, they are noses.
Well,
we'll be finding other body parts soon too.
Yeah. So talking about Pokemon, the boss right after this section is actually made of a nose pass, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 3 things we need to collect in the next coming up section. One of them is the eye friend from Our Real Monsters. One of them is the nose pass, and one of them is the lips from the start of the cult classic, the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Hey, that's right.
By their powers combined, they make a behemoth of a boss.
Yes. So completion of the difficult part. Now we're just collecting the items, like Strong said, and After we collect them, we will be fighting the next boss, which is called the Behemoth.
Yeah. To me, this area is very Earthbound inspired, personally. Also, just kind of like the idea that you're in somebody's mind, like trying to help them find their true self, I guess.
So this fight should go pretty straightforward again. Again, like most of these bosses, I feel like I'm a broken record here, but there is kind of one rude thing that the Behemoth can do. Hopefully he will not do that, and we will just kind of breeze by.
Okay, chill. Good start.
Yep. The thing it needs to not do is it needs to not vomit on Rob.
Exactly. I didn't say it because I didn't want to bring the bad mojo.
Yeah.
I'll let you say it.
That's fine. That's fine. We're good.
We're good.
Oh, the wind wore off. Everything wore off. Oh, crap. Okay.
So because it
Going
got two
back up
attacks,
here.
it used its move twice, which means the wind
He'll
fell
drop
off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll be okay. Just focus.
Yep.
Yep. This will help. Alright, this should do it. Alright.
Nice.
All right,
There we
good
go.
job.
Little backup there.
Little
So yeah,
scramble mode, as they say.
So there was sort of I can break the run into like 3 sections, which is like early in the days, when we used to get the Swift sandals when they were floating around. And then we swapped it out for Sienna. Sienna and Victor were together, so you would always have to swap out at the start of the match to get Victor to go first. Because you'd have Sienna at the first position and her agility is highest than everyone else. When we were doing that, this fight, the Behemoth used to one-hit Sienna every single time, and you would lose Victor for the entire fight.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, it was a bad time.
Terrible.
I am right into another boss fight, by the way. When Strong was saying a second ago, this is a boss gauntlet from here on out, he was not kidding.
So this is the namesake. This is the Chained Echo that we're fighting right
The
here.
titular Chained Echo.
And a very interesting sprite. Gosh, what do we have going on here? Is that a clock, a guy, an angel, and a wing, and an arm? I'm usually
That's essentially it.
I'm usually playing so fast I've never really had a chance to look at it, but it's very involved.
Yeah, it essentially looks like Atlas, who's sort of holding up.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Atlas is a very good descriptor for the guy.
Yeah, if you're wondering, Ferric, as well, I heard you call them the blonde woman the other day. The people who you can see in the cutscenes. They're actually Glenn's reincarnations that you're seeing.
Oh, really?
Glenn used to be
so they're Glenn. Yeah. Oh
Interesting.
no, actually, a redhead fireman actually.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of these days I'm gonna have to just play through the game because it's a very deep game and there's a lot of stuff that I haven't seen that I'm very.
There's a lot of
curious about.
stuff to it. Yeah, I rate it. It's a really good game.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're really hoping
Good
for
fight.
Rob to get a critical on that first attack.
Yep.
If he does that, you can finish it off without having to deal with all those extra attacks. But unfortunately, did not get that particular RNG this time.
So
that was
what
a
I
very nice fight.
It's a very good fight. What I've noticed as well is you guys didn't pick up the stylish accessory.
Nope.
And so I start using the stylish accessory on the Behemoth fight. Because I've got all of my SP up to that point. And so that makes the fight really, really consistent. Same as Chained Echo, same as all the fights coming up as well. So I'll start using essentially one charge power pierce and one berserker or upgraded ultra move from Bathraz.
Okay.
Something to look into. Where am I? There's where it is. Okay. I'm assuming purple is still in the lead, so I'm going to be changing my Sky Armor to purple for this sequence. We'll have one more.
Actually, I was waiting for you guys to. I was waiting for you guys to have a break in the action.
Yep.
We got a couple more donations. JD Puppy donated $5 for red, saying red's a nice color. So currently that means that red is back in the lead at $30.69.
Okay. Well, there you
Nice.
Red is a
We
nice
also
color.
did also get another bigger donation from Deke64 going towards that category upgrade to work bliss for Goodness gracious, gosh, what the heck is that? It like left the incentives. I don't see it anymore. But that Harry, something Harry.
You probably met it, and yeah, Haney on the road, I think is what it is.
Okay, yeah, that's probably what it is. But yeah, so that one came in for $100 with a comment of at LT. I don't know. That might be like an emoticon code. I don't know. It's just coming through as garbled text on my end. But thank you, regardless, Deke and JD Puppy.
Deke I know Deke. Deke is one of the QA testers for this game. And did a lot of the work on that. And Deke also created Lunistis, which is a game that has been a very popular speed game lately. So thank you very much, Deke.
Thank you so much, friend. Appreciate it.
Yes, so currently we are still in the lead for red.
Okay, well, we'll leave it on red then. Very, very good.
Oscar fans, you know.
Oh, and I got the
You got locked out.
lock there. That's okay, or the dialogue lock.
Yeah, I think Stronk was saying earlier that there's a way to avoid that, but I didn't quite catch it.
If you're fast enough on your inputs, if the chat finishes while you're in the middle of an animation, it doesn't soft lock you.
Okay, gotcha. Yep.
Yeah. So you just have to be quick on your animations or know what the last text box is going to be.
Okay.
So anyway, we're doing it again.
Yeah, the sort of multi-target one-hit kill is coming up. It's great.
Very good.
Nice. Well done.
Thank you.
So we're going to pick up here the
more upgrades here as well.
Yeah, we're going to pick up the offensive drones here, which is going to help us considerably on the next fight. I believe we've equipped the SP up on Victor, so we'll have enough SP to get it. But with the offensive drones, they allow us to learn an ability called Drone Swarm, which is an AoE multi-hit move, which will be very useful for what this next boss has in store for us.
Just gonna be keeping. So Ferric actually came up with a different strat for this fight, which is really cool. But let me go ahead and get through this last Baki fight, and then we can talk about it. Or I'll let
Hell
Ferric
yeah,
talk
let's
about
do it.
Oh,
I see
yeah,
Ferric
sure.
in the background looking very excited.
Well, yeah, it's either excited or it's 4 a.m. and I'm trying to not to tip over here. But all the adrenaline from like when I was actually running, now that I'm on the couch, I'm kind of like, it's dark. It's kind of a little bit cool in here because we're in the northern hemisphere. Like the run's going great. No, but what I do now is I swap out Sienna's weapon to a glaive because she actually has 3 levels on glaive, so she can do Hornet Dance also. So you've got double Hornet Dance, and then that pretty much does it. And then you can use Drone Swarm if you need to, but that's the fastest Maria fight that I can get.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Also, I have to save and load before I go into this fight, or the game will simply just not load the fight for some reason. So
We don't know why.
Yep. But yeah, big fight coming up. I will probably have to sort of assess and improvise, and I should probably do that thing.
I was just gonna say, did you swap the weapon? There you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, this.
I'm keen to see this because my Maria is usually pretty quick as well.
Oh, I got a
It's
good
nice.
turn order. Okay.
Yeah, this
Great
is a
turn
tricky
order.
fight depending on your initiative order, because Maria and the Valkyries in this fight cast what are called mirror images, and mirror images are going to absorb attacks. The Valkyries can support 2 mirror images each, and Maria can support 4, so there she goes. So that means you have to knock down every mirror before you can actually deal damage to her. So the challenge here is ideally doing things that do multiple hits, because with multiple hits you're going to, be able to take down multiple of those mirror images and then be able to deal damage to her.
Yep. And I have...
So this is where the Hornet Dance doing multiple hits comes in, and it got mentioned earlier when Ferric was fighting the Matai tank. Is he used Hornet Dance and it only hit once, but it did it twice, right? When it's up against these mirror images, it will hit 5 times no matter what. Like it is a guaranteed 5 hits and will remove all of the mirror images.
Fight. Yeah, that's a
great
perfect
Maria
fight right there. And
Yeah,
love the
that was really well
double
done.
glaive. Yeah.
Yeah. Having the second glaive, I think, really changes that fight. You can still get bad turn orders because there's a certain amount of RNG and variance right there. But at least you have more tools to fight against the mirrors, and I thought that was a great idea that Ferret came up with.
It makes sense because Bathraz does a bunch of damage with the water shot as well.
Yeah, you want water shot
if you get Sienna.
Yep.
I get that. That's really cool. I like that.
Yep. And we are going right to another boss fight.
Yep. This is the Vayne champion. So the Vayne are the overarching, essentially like people who create and control this universe.
Yep. The extraterrestrial beings. Yeah.
Essentially, and it turns out that this is not the first time that this universe has existed. They've created a couple of times now. And so now that we're sort of discovering this out, we're trying to prevent it. They're sending all their stuff that they can to essentially stop us. And the first thing is this big Vayne champion. Not this guy. This is the Crystal Guardian. He sort of defends the Vayne champion. The Vayne champion is the thing that you saw on the map. I'm sort of talking over this fight mostly because it's a nothing of a fight. Unfortunately, it doesn't really do a lot. The crystals, very what's his name from Super Mario RPG?
Kulex. It's kind of a Kulex shadow. Yep.
Very, very much so.
Where the fight looks amazing, but the actual combat is very straightforward.
Yeah, very much so. It's essentially just a DPS rush, and there you go. The fight's over. But what we are going to see here is Glenn use the weapon of mass destruction we were talking about. And the way that works is it blows up, and then instead of the souls going towards the maelstrom, the souls go into the weapon of mass destruction and make it stronger. So anyone in the immediate vicinity is safe, but anyone around that gets destroyed, and you'll see it here.
Yeah, we kind of dunked it on this thing in the middle of the ocean. Star Wars style.
Unskippable cutscene here, so...
Yeah. Unfortunately, this is a big plot-related cutscene as we're going to meet a very friendly suit of armor. They're the Vayne, by the way. Oh, also flashing lights as well.
Yeah, watch out for your flash. Just for the next couple seconds, I would say go ahead and look away if you're sensitive to flashing lights.
So these are sort of introducing us to the Vayne that we will fight, the Vayne of our existence, and then we'll essentially take them down. We'll fight them soon enough. We'll get there. But all of this sort of big energy is going towards Glenn, for a reason that we'll get to for sure. Yeah, and then we're going to be introduced to our friendo, who turns out to be Killian. Killian's back in a big way.
Killian, what are you doing? Cress is very unsure of what Killian is up to.
I'm also going to go ahead and mention we're heading into basically the final dungeon after this. So I will need, if there's any other changes to the Sky Armor Bid War, that'll probably need to close in the next couple of minutes. So go ahead and get those in now if you want to change it to a different color before the final dungeon. Oops, I didn't even need to do that.
Nope.
I do it every time and you're fine. You're all good.
Okay, so now we're back in that underground city of Nissa, which is kind of that ancient city. And this is really the last area before we do the final boss rush.
Yep. And I'll go ahead and we'll close the color incentive when I finish this final menu up here, because I'm going to go get one more Sky Armor accessory up here, so I'll have a big menu to do, and after that we'll have the color locked in for the rest of the run here.
And that particular Sky Armor upgrade is a 500 level upgrade. That's the highest that we're going to get for the speed run. I do believe in the vanilla game you can get up to a 600 level upgrade, but that's not necessary for us to complete the game.
Yep.
So Wolf Shadow, if we have any changes to the Sky Armor color, we would want those now, and otherwise we will close that.
I don't see anything coming through.
All right, we're sticking with purple then.
Go ahead and close it out. Thank you. Thank everybody for donated for our incentives too.
Oscar's proud.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks so much for letting us change the colors of the Sky Armors. We don't normally get to do that when we're trying to go fast. It's more menuing, and just as much as we love menuing, we can't add more steps that don't need to be there. So this is like the power menuing at the end of the game, because everybody has a ton of SP and everybody's getting leveled up. getting some critical abilities that we need for the final boss fight. So some of the things we're getting are just stat boosters, but other things are specific skills.
Forgot I didn't level up Len at all earlier, so like I have a lot more to do here.
Yeah, I usually level her one other time. So, and no, she does not need clothes bonus.
She doesn't?
She doesn't. As much as we would like to add that to her.
So that's good. But Thraz just got a really good new ability called Heaven or Hell.
So basically what Heaven or Hell does is it's another damage up ability. He has Berserker, which is, I believe, 1.5x damage while it's on. Heaven or Hell is 2.5x damage, but it kills him after like 3 turns. So you have to be careful to time when you cast it, so that you don't actually kill him with his own ability. However, that happens pretty rarely because once that's on, stuff's going to die pretty fast. We're kind of just doing some menuing here now and leveling up skills that we need for final bosses as well. Glenn's getting Armor Break leveled up. Also kind of just checking the character setup to make sure everything is correct on the characters too. Kind of just a quick gut check.
I think I got everything. Alright, so we will head out now, do some actual combat. There's only really one more menu I have to do before the final boss now, so... Just a couple more boss fights mainly. There's a couple more basic fights too, I guess, but mostly it's going to be boss fights.
Yeah, so one of the first monsters that we fought way back in Roland, like 3.5 hours ago, was a pig ear. We're gonna see some powered up pig ears here pretty soon.
Yeah, we get 2 more fights and that's it. And then bosses all the way down.
Yeah, good job, Glenn.
Unfortunately, no boss slurs, but that's okay. Maybe that'll be DLC.
There isn't even like a big slaughter as like a hunt to take down either.
Yeah, that's why I say like some sort of like just.
Thais, if you're watching, we need a big slurse.
We need 2 things. We need a big slurse and we need sky armor for Crest. Those are the only 2 things I'm asking for. If you can grab those 2 things, that'd be amazing.
If I can ask for anything, it would be that the later patches have easily skippable cutscenes. But
there you go. That's speedrunner talking right there.
I know that they specifically changed it so that it's not easily skippable, and
yeah,
I completely understand why. I do. It's for the sake and the make of the game. I get it. As a speedrunner,
yeah,
a man can dream.
Yep, exactly. And you think about all the games, like the Final Fantasy games and stuff like that, that have the skips. You know, you can play it with the skips or without the skips. You get to choose as the person that's playing the game. So I agree. I would love to see a version released that the cutscene skipping is just cleaned up and you can just skip all of them. It'd be great.
Why? Oh, never mind. That's fine because I already did that. It's like, why did that do Dark Spear?
See, we're talking about
flashing light warning, by the way.
Yeah, flashing light warning. We're talking about time saves within the game, but then there's the time saves where you can lobby to get the cutscene skips to work. Right? So.
Also, if you are watching, we love your game. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
this is fantastic.
Your game is is the best RPG I've played in a very long time.
So we just kind of picked this up recently, which is you board the sky armor here for a movement burst, and then if you dismount it at the correct time, then you can skip this dialogue box by
I've been doing that for years, but love it.
Oh, you
it's one of my favorite things. Yeah,
it's so
one of the things.
Fast, yeah.
It's
so
fast.
That I was aware of it. Yeah, it's just like it's probably 15 seconds right there. So
the part that actually
really
makes that important is if the dialogue is happening, the game does not let you get out of the sky armor.
So you're just kind of stuck.
So you have to wait until the dialogue in order to go through that narrow patch where your sky armor doesn't fit. So.
Also, what we passed there, you might have seen a very small clip of it, was one of the True Kings, the big dragon. And we'll see them. We'll see them when we come back. But yeah, that's the Guardian of Nissa, the area that we're in currently as well.
I'm not gonna skip a big dragon in the
at least
speedrun event.
Yeah, at least say hello.
Yeah, we're gonna say hi. But first we have to say hi to the Thieves Gang again.
Yep, Thieves Gang's back, a little bit more powerful, but I like
Thief
our
Gang,
odds.
Thief Gang, Thief Gang, Thief Gang.
Yep. So here's Glenn doing his ultimate, which is going to weaken their attacks, but also give them defense down to make them easier to kill.
And Glenn gets next turn, so I'll be able to bring in Eggle, and I'm definitely hoping that Rob will one-shot them. If not,
I have not been one-shotting them with Rob recently. Usually it's Rob and something.
I'm going into the yellow, never mind, that's fine.
Yeah, it's usually Rob plus Bathraz.
Well, nothing was going to save me that time, unfortunately.
So that overdrive meter's working against you.
I know, I'm getting bad overdrive RNG tonight. It's okay.
Yeah, we had a nice suggestion from Geek. I'll have to talk to the dev to add a feature to pet the big dragon.
Oh, I'm in, yes!
I'm in too. The dragon is sleeping. You could pet the dragon and not
Maybe we can get one of the like extendo arms that you can use to pet it.
Extendo arm, perfect. Tukabiri arm.
There you go.
They've got good long arms.
Why don't we just take the arm from the shaved head? Use that.
That's a very long arm. Yes, the longest arm in the game, shaved head arm. So we cleaned up the Thieves Guild. I don't think we'll be seeing them again. Doing a little bit of backtracking here, and we will go say hi to the dragon.
Yep. It's all bosses all the way now, by the way. No more...
Yeah, bosses all the way down.
Super
all bosses.
All encounters.
Next up, we have potentially... not my favorite name for a boss. My favorite name for the boss is the one after that, which is not even the real name for it. Hey, Big Dragon. But...
He's a big snore.
Snoozing. If you... There is a chance where you get to wake him up, but it's much later. So this next boss coming up is the Vidaganga.
Vidaganga, exactly.
I looked up the lore on this a while ago. Essentially, it's like a old fable, essentially a tale of like this monstrosity, this like big spirit, and that's essentially exactly what it is. So
that sounds about right. Yeah.
So similar to the Chained Echo fight, this guy's going to go through some different phases.
Okay, that's fine. He put it on Bathraz.
He's going to go through some different phases and summon some Mylings to sort of help him with his combat. We're going to be trying to just deal massive point damage on him.
It's probably fine.
It's fine. It's just going to be a bit slow.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only downside is we don't get a bolus in this run, which is like really unfortunate. Boluses are an item that we use that can inflict heavy on the opponent, like we do Oil Lamp and Sylph's Fan and that kind of stuff. But there's been no way to be able to find boluses, unfortunately.
Okay.
I'm just waiting for Rob to go again.
Yeah, chill. This should kill.
There we go.
Good job.
Normally you can do Bathraz's Ultra. A lot of the bosses that are coming up are single target bosses. So you can do a combination of Rob doing his big attack and then Bathraz with a really strong Ultra to finish them in usually 2 cycles.
Yeah, Heaven or Hell boosts damage by 200%. Except, as Ferric said, you do die in 3 turns. And then you use your Bathraz ult, which stacks off of your magic up, which you've already leveled up because of the big menu we did previously. So.
And the one nice thing about Heaven and Hell is if things do kind of go sideways and you want to keep Bathraz around, you can just cast it again on him and it will reset that timer.
It will reset it, yeah. So we're coming up to what I've been calling Boss Blobby for the entire time I've been running this game.
Blobby.
And there's no reason as to why I did that. I just thought it was really funny. But we're going around and we're talking to all these people and they're sort of trying to remember what this big creature is. And this big creature is going to use those memories that we've found to make a form for itself. Now, if you just pick the first on every single list, you get an enemy that is weak to water, and an enemy that does a sort of mediocre AoE attack, and that's sort of what we're going to do.
Yeah.
We used to do the one that inflicted a lot of status effects, and then I discovered that the status effects actually were pretty bad sometimes.
Yeah.
And I stopped doing that promptly, so...
Yeah, it's a kind of a build your own boss sort of thing.
Yep.
So that was his mediocre AoE attack right there. I think the blob is in trouble.
Oh, he'll die to this because that was a crit.
Yep.
Or it might have just been because of the extra water.
I think he's in big trouble.
Yeah, it didn't look like a crit.
But yeah, that's enough.
Well done.
Yep.
Good fight.
Ferric, what do I need to make sure I don't forget here?
The key? Of course,
I've
never left here forgetting the
Everybody's
key. I've
done
never done that.
I've done
before.
that once. I was,
I've done
I was
it.
on,
I've
I was
also
on world
done
record
it
pace.
once, and I just was like, I will never do that again because I went back to this and I said, wait, and then I tried to figure out how to go back and get it.
Happen.
Yeah, you knew it.
I tried to help you so much.
It was like slow motion, like you knew it was happening.
No, I've done it
Everybody's
once,
done
and I was on world record
Oh.
pace. And I forgot it, and I was like, oh,
You're like, oh, game over.
Okay, we have
That's
to
it.
talk
Well,
about
we-
Wyatt Skip right now.
Wide skip is fun.
Wyatt Skip is Ferric basically found and figured this out.
It's an entire boss
Sounds
that
like
you
you
can
talked about
skip.
it, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
basically you're
focus.
flipping gates to get deeper into this area. This particular gate, when you flip it, if you hold down the cutscene button as you enter, the game gets confused, and I think it still thinks that you're like in the blob area. So a boss that would appear right here called Wyatt doesn't appear, but this random text box does. So technically not a glitch because you're using the cutscene button to skip it, and you basically save about 45 seconds by doing it.
Yep, we skipped a
So,
whole.
yes. So I did it today as a test because I've never actually done it before. And when you turn on the levers, you can skip the cutscene to turn on the levers, and if you hold it from there as well, it works exactly the same.
Yeah, that's basically. I think we're
That's
saying the
what
same
we
thing
do right now, yeah.
I think we're
Yeah.
saying the same thing.
Okay, I'm
So-
moving up on my last menu. I do want to give Wolf Shadow one more time to read any announcements that she has, because then we'll be on to the final boss rush.
All right. There's sadly still no new donation. Excuse me, I can talk. I apologize. It's almost 6 a.m. here, so I am struggling as well. Let's see. I think I got a good one here. All right. So, as everybody knows, like most of the Fastest Furs marathons, this one is still benefiting Trans Lifeline. So, throughout the marathon, we welcome donations of all sizes in the support of the Trans Lifeline. You don't need to make a big donation to have a big impact. Just $25 connects one person in need to the Trans Lifeline Peer Support Hotline. Even a $5 donation, when combined with 4 other people donating the same $5, can have a meaningful impact on someone's life. Please consider donating now by typing !donate in the chat and let your friends know that they can help as well.
Yeah, thanks so much for that. So
Fantastic, thank you.
we've got kind of our last menus here, and getting everybody geared up. The last boss fight is actually a 3-boss gauntlet. First, we will do a sky armor combat, then we will do a combat on foot, and then we will face the final boss, which may or may not be a god. I don't know. JRPGs, do you ever fight gods at the end? Let me think here.
Double check
Maybe
one
every
thing
single
here.
one I've ever played.
Okay. Could be set.
So here goes our intrepid adventurers. First boss is I call him Labrador because he's got a complex name I can't remember, so we're going to go fight Labrador.
His name is
I just call him
Labrador
Killian.
Retriever.
You just call him Killian, that works too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then this fight is generally fairly scripted. He does kind of a big ultimate attack that if things go a little bit sideways, you have to be careful about, but otherwise, using our basic Sky Armor strats, we can dump a lot of damage on him, and using our favorite ability, Enact Shot. Yep. Epic music in the background, of course.
Yeah, this is where my heart starts to sink.
Exactly.
Oh, he healed. That's okay.
Healing is fine.
Not ideal, though.
Better than Hopeless Strike, it's fine.
Yeah, healing is fine. Defend is the bad one, and then there's one called Foul Mouth that is bad.
Oh yeah, Hopeless Strike just kills someone. It's absurd.
Yep. I got Foul Mouth on Sienna, and you just have to restart. Like, you can't.
Which one? What does Foulmouth do?
You've never had that one before either.
No, still haven't.
Gosh. Well, you're in for a treat. I'm not going to tell you if you ever get Foul Mouth.
It'll be a surprise.
It'll be a surprise.
Oh, thanks, speedrun community. I appreciate that.
We'll just hope you never get it. How about that?
Yeah, that's honestly the way I do this fight.
Much better.
It would like never occur. So
Yeah.
Well, the heal was enough damage, but thankfully I was smart enough to blind him, so
Yep.
it missed me.
Yeah, the way that the fight works,
Okay.
Glenn will get his blind up before the ultimate goes off. You just have to blind Labrador before he does it, and then you're still okay. Otherwise, that ultimate attack will just kill everybody, basically.
this is the
now we're on-
only.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry, go
this
ahead.
is the only like auto scroller in the game, and it's right at the end. So it's the only break we get in the game is right here.
There you go.
And as we're sort of explaining, Killian essentially wanted to have like a bunch of power. And so he's essentially asked the Vayne for as much power as they can give them. And so now he's been merged with one of the Vayne, if I'm not mistaken, Alfred. And we now have this, what is essentially the Final Fantasy VI end boss sort of chucked into one entity, which is really cool.
Yep, so we've got Alfred, Healer, Magician, and Tank or Engine. I can't remember which one it is.
Yep.
Shouldn't be too scary of a fight. There's one particular ability that they can do called Death Stagger that I definitely do not want to see. But anything other than that, I should be able to work through.
I believe they only use Death Stagger when they reach a certain threshold as well. So,
Interesting.
so the early game is a lot easier.
Also extremely weak to light, so Bathraz is incredibly good here at this point.
Life threads chill.
So we expected that because he had life thread on him. That kills him when he kills the monster that cast it on him.
Okay.
Good fight.
Very nice fight, and now we have a single cutscene skip, and then we're into the final boss fight, which is a very complex fight.
I'm gonna let you completely narrate this one.
Yeah, so basically what we're going to do is, that's the boss on the left. He went very early with a scripted attack, so everybody went down to 1 hit point. Early part of this combat's going to be getting our characters back up so they don't get wiped the next time he attacks them. And then we're going to be doing
I didn't want to use that on Glenn.
And then we're doing some very specific stuff. The stuff that we're doing is Lenny, who has the spear there, has abilities that apply damage coats to weapons. So she's got a fire coat, a wind coat, and a water coat. So that's 3 turns that she has to apply those abilities. Bathraz is going to be our MVP. Bathraz needs to get Berserk and Heaven and Hell on himself for his damage buffs. Victor is our bard. He's going to charge us up with Poetic March. And then Glenn is going to do his classic armor break to lower Vayne's defenses. Once everything is like that, we simply do elemental debuffs on the god, shoot him with our big gun from Bathraz, and it's a one-shot of the final boss of the game. It's so cool when it happens, so we're really rooting for Blaze here.
It's gonna be... I'm gonna have to wait 1 more turn. I just did not have enough turns to get the debuffs applied, so we are hoping for 1 more just empty turn of attacks here. Okay, we got it.
Nice,
nice.
I gotta make it 1 more turn. Because he's gonna get to go again, so... oh, nope, this is actually bad. Because
I was gonna say, it should be okay.
well, the armor break would have worn off. So... let's see here. She's got oil. Yeah, this isn't gonna work.
Can you use oil and then Sylph Fan? Because you got to wait an extra turn, right?
I've got to wait an extra turn at this point. So we're just gonna go ahead and do that. And now just not
Nice,
basically.
easy.
Wet dry, something wore off.
Oil slash.
Yep. Okay, so now I'm just chilling. And time will be on the final hit. Should be here. So get ready on time, hopefully. Please, please, please. Yep.
Hey, there it is.
Nice.
That's at least 3,600. So GG's.
Time.
Great job. One-shotting the final boss. Feels good, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
That is, I believe, within 10 seconds of what your run was earlier in the week.
Oh, really? Even with all the
Yeah,
Sky Armor switching and mucking around?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we're at 330. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
That's-
That felt very good. And yeah,
Yeah.
we did the turtle races. We did a couple Sky Armor color
Oh my
changes.
God.
So
Yeah, it was a
Good
really
job.
good run. Yeah, it was a
That's
really good
crazy.
run. Well done. You guys
Yeah.
killed
thank
it.
you.
considering
They
that.
honestly didn't even feel like the RNG was that great down the stretch either. So I mean, I'll take it. That was a really good run. But I think it's really just a testament to how far the route has come and how hard Ferric has really and other people as well. But you know, Ferric and I have
absolutely.
worked on this really hard. There were a lot of folks like Cat Buzz and you, Chonkler, that really worked on it a lot when we were still kind of getting our feet wet too. And it's just a fun little game. It's a great RPG speedrun. And again, I would just really recommend this to anybody who likes this kind of turn-based, pretty straightforward, um, kind of zippy RPG. I think you'll have a lot of fun with this game, speedrunning it. And obviously, if you like old school RPGs like Final Fantasy VI or Xenogears or some of those sorts of games, Chrono Trigger, um, find a way to get this game and give it a play because you will really, really enjoy the experience. I'm pretty confident. So.
Yeah, totally agree. And just want to say thank you to my co-pilot and partner in crime, Blaze. It's been very fun doing this as a co-op run. It's a little more user friendly when you break it up in half, and it's nice to be able to commentate for each other. Big thank you to Strong Chonkler for joining us to do commentary. First time he's done commentary for us, and it's really fun to kind of talk through this together and bounce ideas off each other. Thank you so much to the Fastest Furs for letting us showcase this game, which we just thoroughly enjoy. It's great to have an audience and show off something that we love. Wishing Fastest Furs all the best in future successes, and to the charity that they support, which is the Trans Lifeline, a very worthy charity that they have supported in the past.
Yep. Chonkler, you got anything?
Just thank you so much for having me, and you guys did a phenomenal job on the run. You guys absolutely killed it. I'm very proud to see how far this community's come, and also to see that the co-op was amazing. You guys are a very good team.
Well, thank you.
Thank
It
you
helps.
so much.
You always guaranteed a commentator as well. Although we are going to be racing this game next month as well, so that will also be very fun.
Yeah.
We're going to get.
That
to do a
sounds
race
very
of-
cool. I'm very in for that. That sounds sick.
Yeah, no, it'll be great. And yeah, I know we're trying to get back on schedule, so even though we finished comfortably under estimate, I want to make sure that we wrap this up quickly. But all I will just say is keep watching the marathon. There's 2 whole days, more or less, of great speedruns to go, supporting Trans Lifeline, which is a really important cause, and we really appreciate you being here. So enjoy the rest of the marathon, everybody.